Welcome, welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of WhickTV, a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. And gang, we have a show for you today. We are joined by some great guests to talk about a lot of the cultural issues we are going through today after the events of October 7th and the vicious attack on Israel by Hamas, as well as Israel's response by bombing Gaza. We are now in a situation where people are being, their livelihoods are being threatened for expressing support for Palestine. We're going to talk about that. We're going to discuss it. We have Socrates here, who is Jewish and progressive and has a lot of thoughts on this. He's the one that brought this to my attention. And we have Nick Buckley, a British mayoral candidate who is trying to get his camera working right now, but we'll figure it out, right? And we'll get it done. But they have both graciously agreed to join me and to talk about this. And well, first of all, thank you all for being here, right? I see you all in chat. And if you have questions during this conversation, feel free to super chat, throw bits my way, donate, and I'll try to read your questions to the guests or your comments. Try to keep them appropriate, and we'll see what we can do. I guess first and foremost, how you guys doing today? Oh, hey, we got it. We got visual connection. Beautiful.
We do. That's only took me 45 minutes to work out.
You know what? It worked out though. It takes some time. I think that might be a metaphor for today's discussion. I think that we're gonna have some issues at first, but maybe we can kind of work through them, work them out, and see what we can get going here. Yeah, I guess I'll just start, right, by handing the mic to Socrates for a bit, because he's the one that brought this conversation to me. He has some thoughts here, but I want to make sure that my audience knows that the overall theme today that we're going to be talking about is cancel culture. It is the censorship. When is it okay? When is it not? Is there tension to some of these takes that these people have? And we're going to explore that together. But with that, you have the floor, Socrates.
Yeah, thank you, Wick. Thank you for helping organize this. This is something that I've been talking about and something I've wanted to talk about more and more. Now that there's a lot of focus on Israel and Palestine with the latest conflict, but there's been conflict for a very long time. So just a little bit of my background, growing up Jewish in America and growing up in the Jewish community, and talking to friends recently who are not Jewish or who didn't, grow up embedded in Jewish communities, realizing that they, obviously, pretty much everybody they speak to is very against anti-Semitism, but doesn't necessarily have a full understanding of where that kind of comes from at a visceral level, the feeling of what it's like to be afraid of your fellow countrymen, having seen the times throughout history where the world can turn against you, and being afraid of language leading to violence. And so feeling where that comes from. So I want to start off this conversation with a lot of empathy, because I'm someone generally who, having grown up in the Jewish community, I was also heavily propagandized into Israeli propaganda, or pro-Israeli propaganda. My grandparents eventually became atheists, but they're still very pro-Israel. And so having found out that I had been taught false history, false narratives, false facts, it became something personal for me to understand the history. And as I understood the history, I understood more of the struggle of Palestinians. And for me, my common alignment has been, as a member of the Jewish community, often speaking to and arguing with other members of the Jewish community to have empathy for people who are outside the community, who are Palestinians. But I realize it's also very important for me to speak to people who are not within the Jewish community to help understand how to have empathy for people inside the community as well.
And we'll
So just
go ahead.
So just a little bit more of just setting up the
Please.
perspective.
Yeah.
So the main kind of contentious thing, when I talked with Wick about this earlier, is for me. So for a lot of people, very concerned with anti-Semitism rising on the left, seeing some of the language coming out of pro-Palestinian groups, and for me, I've been very concerned with the anti-Semitic cancellations that have occurred, and my personal feeling as a Jew in America that these cancellations are this virtue signaling toward fighting against anti-Semitism actually makes me feel less safe, and itself feels anti-Semitic.
Well, thank you for that. We will get into it. As you know, I have substantive disagreements, so we'll talk about that. But I also do understand that there is a tendency for backlash in these things, but we'll get to it. I want to take some time to give the mic to my other guest today, Nick Buckley, to talk about who you are, your story, and your thoughts on this. I've seen some of your takes on social media, as well as I have been made aware of some of your history, but please educate my audience a little bit on your thoughts on the situation as it stands, your background, and why this is important to you, please.
Yeah, well, my background is nothing special. Kid off a council estate, didn't go to university, messed around for the first 15 years of my adult life. Directionless, didn't know what I was doing. Always thought someone was going to knock on my door and give me a great opportunity, but unfortunately, no one ever knocked on my door. And then I turned 30, realised that I needed to do something with my life, and that's when I started working. Almost immediately, my life got better. Doors opened, opportunities came along. I succeeded at everything I tried. Everything was easier than I thought it was going to be. I ended up working for local government, and I fell into a job working with kids, stopping them getting involved in crime and antisocial behaviour. That then led to an award-winning career then. In that time, I've advised prime ministers, I've set up award-winning projects, worked with 10,000 young people, and then we had financial cuts to government 15 years ago. And my job was made redundant from the local council. So I took redundancy money and I set a charity up to carry on working on the streets with kids, stop them getting involved in crime. And that's now a multi-award winning project. And then I became slightly famous or infamous in June 2020 at the height of Black Lives Matter in the UK. I'd not really heard of the group before. So I had heard of them, but not really. I didn't know what they were about. So we'd had a protest in London where 27 police officers were injured, and our mainstream press called it a peaceful protest. It was like, well, how can 27 police officers be injured? So I Googled Black Lives Matter, found their website, read their website, not a conspiracy theory website, their own website, and decided immediately I don't like the sound of any of this. And nobody knows any of this. Sounds like Marxism to me. Defund the police, overthrow capitalism. And the one that stood out for me was disrupt the Western nuclear family. The biggest problem we've got in the UK, and I would say same in America as well, is a lack of fathers in the home. And that's what that means. Disrupt the Western nuclear family. That's a rallying cry to get more men out of the home. And I thought, no, I'm not having this. So I wrote a 700-word blog and posted it on LinkedIn, and then everything went crazy. Someone copied a link to Twitter. Within hours, I was a racist and a Nazi. And when you think 6 months before, I'd just been awarded an MBE off the Queen of England for the work I've been doing for 20 years. So I went from an MBE to a Nazi in 6 months. That's a hell of a fall. The trustees at the charity I set up, so it might be different in America, but in the UK, nobody owns a charity. It's an independent organisation. Even though I founded it and set it up, I had to appoint a board of trustees who are independent, who can basically sack me even though I'm the founder. That's how it works in the UK. The board, who I appointed, who were personal friends, panicked and sacked me over email, a one-line email, that I was a racist, and I was spouting far-right narrative, and they sacked me. I decided I'm not having this, so I mounted a fight back. I got some press attention. I joined an organisation called the Free Speech Union, which is in the UK. They got me a free solicitor, a lawyer, and within 5 weeks, we forced the board to resign in disgrace, and I got my job back, and then we appointed a new board. So that's sort of why I became famous and involved in free speech. You know, I'm obviously an advocate for free speech now. And then since then, I wrote some books on how to fight cancel culture, how we're becoming a nation of beggars. And I'm just next week, I released my third book, which is all about feminism. And I'm not a big fan of feminism.
Not a feminism
either.
fan? Okay.
No.
We'll get into it.
And then the Palestine-Israeli issue at the moment. I think it's fair to say, and I think most people need to start all conversations with this statement, which is, this is a complicated issue. And I haven't got the time, the knowledge, or the intellect to fully understand the Palestine-Israeli issue. And I'd be lying and I'd be fooling myself if I thought I speak from a point of authority. So therefore, on the issue that's happening now, I really don't comment. A, it's not my concern to comment. I don't understand the issue. I understand the basic issues. We all know what's gone on. I comment more on how it's affecting the UK. It's obvious from the marches and protests on the streets of the UK that our enemies, which are funded by foreign states, are using any opportunity to damage the UK. We saw it with Black Lives Matter. How can you have a march 3 years ago, Black Lives Matter, and on the day of the march, there's thousands of professionally printed signs in one day? Who's funded that? Who's organised that? And it's the same with the Free Palestine marches now. Most of the people marching are not supporters of terrorism. They're what Lenin said were useful idiots, jumping on a cause that they don't understand either. They think they're on the right side of history. Who wants to see people die? Who wants to see children die? Nobody. So it's an easy cause to jump on the back of. And in our culture now, we always need a good guy and a bad guy. And we always need an oppressor and the oppressed. And the Israeli-Palestine conflict fits into that through lots of people's eyes now. So what I'm seeing, I'm not liking on the streets of the UK. I'm seeing my fellow citizens criticizing and sound like they hate the place where they live. And it's shown the big mistakes we've made with mass immigration, with no integration, and that's coming to the fore now.
Well, let's talk about this. One of the reasons that this issue, right, this the October 7th and the Israel-Palestine conflict has kind of struck a chord across the Western world is because it touches on a lot of issues that we are having within our own culture, cultural battles that we are having today amongst ourselves. But I wanted to talk, and I guess I'll start with you, Buckley, Nick Buckley. Which do you prefer, Nick Buckley? Like Nick's fine. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, Nick. Because in your statement there, there's some tension, right? Because you mentioned how you're free speech, you're involved in free speech, you're a free speech advocate. And yet, when we look at the protests, first of the Black Lives Matter protest, and then now, and I've seen your takes on the Armistice Day protests that they're planning for the pro-Palestine, you were pretty against that. Can you explain you understand that there's a tension there, right, between these takes, right? I believe in free speech, and I don't want these people to protest. Does this?
No, you've not read that on any of my tweets.
There was one you made earlier today, was there not, about how you hope they try on the Armistice Day? You hope they're brave enough to try? Is that you?
No, absolutely. I hope they do march. I hope they do protest. I hope they do, because stopping them marching doesn't stop the problem. I want them to march. I want them to
Oh,
scream
okay.
and shout.
My bad then. Like, I apologize to you. I read it as a challenge, right? Like, oh, I hope you do.
Oh,
You
no, no, no.
try it, right?
It absolutely is a challenge. I'm challenging him. I dare you to march on the streets. Come on. Get out your houses, get on the streets in London and disrespect the country. Because on this day, next weekend, that's not a normal day in the UK. And you will be confronted. And it may lead to violence. If we're going to have violence, which I don't want violence, but if we're going to have violence, let's have it today so we can live in peace tomorrow.
Mm.
The reason why they're so emboldened and the reason why they're marching is because they've misunderstood our tolerance and compassion as weakness and being pathetic. But we're a tolerant nation. And I'm challenging them now, march on that day and cause problems on that day, because that's what we need you to do. Because then we'll be able then to start dismantling your organisations, and we'll be able to show the rest of the country that you're anti-British, and we'll be able to deal with you then. At the
Is
moment, we keep
being
giving you a free
Yeah.
pass.
Is being pro-Palestine anti-British? Really?
No, oh no, not. So lots of people on the marches are not even pro-Palestine. Most of the people couldn't even find Palestine on the map. And they're not pro-Palestine, they're just pro the latest thing I need to be pro about. Most people are sheep, they're marching, screaming slogans I don't understand the issue. And, a year ago, they were probably marching about Ukraine. And before that, they were marching for Black Lives Matter. Most people are idiots. So they're just marching because that's what they feel they have to do. But within those groups, there's some extremely nasty individuals who'd like to see the overthrow of the UK, overthrow of the West. Some of them will be Marxists and communists. Some of them will be radical jihadists. Some of them will be anarchists, and some of them are just mentally ill. So anybody now will jump on a cause if they think it's going to damage what they perceive as the evil empire, which is the West.
Go ahead, Socrates. I think you have thoughts here. If you'd like to join us in this back and forth here, I don't want to shut you out of the conversation. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Nick, I really appreciate you saying that. Coming from a place of intellectual humility when it comes to the Israel-Palestine topic, I come from the same situation when it comes to UK politics. I have news stories that I read. I have, people that I talk to, but I don't pretend to understand, socially or politically what it's like there, what the kind of dynamics are. Yeah, for me, I see within. So I guess I want to make a few distinctions that I feel like are not always made. There's groups that are pro-Israel. There's groups that are pro-Palestine. There's groups that are pro-peace. There's groups that are groups or individuals that are pro-violence or pro disruption or pro-anarchy or pro-havoc. There's people who don't really kind of truly care in their heart in a compassionate way, one way or another, but just want to see some kind of drama, some kind of, some bad things kind of occur. But there's also a huge number of people who are very empathetic towards the Israelis who lost their lives, toward the Palestinians who lost their lives. And what I'm advocating for is for people to be compassionate toward both, because I feel like if you can't be compassionate toward both, you can't really fully enter into the conversation.
Well, look, let's just ask you both directly, right? There's been a spat of people losing their jobs for attending these protests, for speaking out at these protests. Should that happen, right?
Yeah. So the things that I wanted to bring up were these situations these were specifically in the U.S. that these were occurring. I'm sure there might be similar situations in the UK. I don't know. And also the US has, like, because of how close a tie we have to Israel, it's like a little bit heightened in terms of the kind of intensity when it comes to kind of cancel culture and politics with relations to Israel. So one of the big things for me was this: the editor-in-chief of the 𝕾𝖍𝖙 magazine who had quote tweeted something from The Onion that was this cartoon saying it was something like Gazans, moments before bombs dropped on them, asked to condemn Hamas, something like that. I think I'm not paraphrasing perfectly, but it was something tongue in cheek about how, okay, obviously Hamas is evil, Hamas is a terrorist organization, but to hold Gazans, who only 2% of Gazans are actually in Hamas or related to Hamas, to hold them collectively responsible and collectively punish all people of Gaza for the actions of this group that has control over their territory, and to pretend like, it's kind of taking, okay, people who are asked to condemn Hamas, but then not going forward to condemn collective punishment toward Gazans, the killing of innocent Gazan civilians as well, to say, okay, both of these things are wrong. Nobody would say that to somebody who is in Gaza to their face. Hey, your family was just killed in this bomb blast. I need you to make some kind of virtue signal statement.
Socrates, you know what I want
Nobody
you to do
would be
right
able
now?
to do that face to face.
Socrates, I want you to stretch. I want you to relax, right? You're a little tense. You're a little.
I am tense. This is
It's
this is an
friendly.
intense conversation.
It
for
is.
me.
It is. But it is a friendly
Yeah.
conversation, and we're
Yeah.
friends here.
I'm
okay?
just
So I
I'm
just
tense
wanna-
because I want to be clear with
Okay, fair
what
enough.
I'm conveying. I don't feel any kind of
No.
animosity personally. I just feel tense, like, and anxiety that I want to make my point of view clear.
What do you think, Nick? You have people. Well, first of all, did you see 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙𝖘𝖍𝖔𝖜 tweet on October 7th or October 8th?
No.
Basically, and I'm going to
The
paraphrase
porn
it.
star.
Yeah, the porn star. Yes.
Porn,
Yes.
yeah. Well, we all need to listen to a porn star, don't
Well,
we?
she made a statement that lost her job, right? And I'm curious, right? Because we're going to talk about anti-Semitism, and I'm curious because Socrates said in a private chat, right, that this wasn't anti-Semitic or not necessarily anti-Semitic. So I want your read on
I
it.
said I don't want to see her exact
Sure.
statements, but I said that wasn't my first impression necessarily.
Okay,
I
but the
don't think
statement
anybody
was.
sh-
But the statement was, right? It was tell Hamas to turn their phones horizontally so we can see what they're doing better. Right? They wanted to watch it, and that's what they said. That was a tweet, right? Saying tell them, these freedom fighters, basically to turn their phones sideways so they can film it better and we see it better. She lost her job for this. She lost opportunities for this. Should she have, first of all?
Me,
Yeah, in your opinion, what do you think? If you were her employer, would you have fired her for this?
I don't think anybody should lose their job for what they say, unless what they say breaks the law.
Mm.
So
That's-
if she'd have said and got arrested and prosecuted for saying kill all the Jews, they're evil, and Hitler didn't finish the job, and let's kill them all. In fact, I'd like to kill a couple myself. If she got arrested for that and prosecuted, and her employer wanted to sack her, I would say that's probably fair enough. She works for that employer. Is shouting free Palestine on the streets of London a sackable offence? No, it's not. Because if we allow that to be a sackable offence, tomorrow what I say will be a sackable offence and I will lose my job. Whatever weapons and strategies we create to fight our enemy with, they will eventually appropriate them and use them against us. Hence why I didn't want the march being banned in London, because if the government can get away with that, a march I want to go on will be banned. So we need to be careful that these weapons are not used against us, hence why we need free speech.
Do you think it was anti-Semitic, though? I guess I'll ask.
I think it was No.
No.
What it sounds like to me is she was praising Hamas for shooting the rockets.
Is that not anti-Semitic?
No, because Hamas are trying to destroy Israel because they want the land.
I disagree. Okay. Yeah, I think that if you were cheering on Hamas killing Israelis, that's kind of anti-Semitic. I don't. If that's not anti-Semitic, I'm curious what would be. If that's not anti-Semitic, what is anti-Semitic? What is an anti-Semitic remark?
An anti-Semitic remark would be, well, first of all, anything connected with Israel can be and is used as that's anti-Semitic. So Israel does use the phrase anti-Semitic as a protective cloak sometimes, and it shouldn't, because when there is anti-Semitism, it loses its power because of what they've said before. So
there we go.
Is there some anti-Semitism on this war? Of course there is. Yeah. Absolutely, of course there is. Hamas's aim is not just to conquer the land of Israel, it's to exterminate every Jew on that land. That part's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, so when you were cheering that on, right? When you were cheering, again, realizing that Hamas doesn't just want to kill Israel, right? We realize that. So when you were cheering that on, how is that? I'm struggling here. Socrates, you could jump in if you'd like as well, because I'm struggling here, gang. Help me. How is that not just anti-Semitism, right? How is it not?
When you're fighting a war, you want to kill your enemy. Were we anti-German during the Second World War when we bombed the crap out of Germany? When we destroyed Dresden and there was no need to destroy Dresden, we carpet bombed, killed 100,000 Germans, nearly all civilians. War is a nasty thing, and humans are nasty creatures, and we will kill with every tribal. And that's what this conflict is bringing out in all of us across the Western world, is our tribalism. Again, I'll go back to my first statement. This is so complicated. I haven't got the skill, the knowledge, the intellect to start dissecting exactly what is across the line is now anti-Semitism and what is that's just bombing Israel. For the people who are dying in the Middle East at the moment, I don't think they care why they were killed, why they were maimed. They were killed because it's a war. Does it feel any different? It's a bit like hate crime. When I get punched in the face as a hate crime, does that feel slightly worse than me being punched in the face because I had a big mouth? No, I think it feels exactly the same.
You want to jump in here, Socrates?
I mean, in America, we do distinguish for hate crimes. Part of it's like a legacy of American history that we've had more local, like police, either in cities or in states, who wouldn't prosecute crimes toward Black Americans in particular, and so it became like a federal offense so that it could be federally protected. So that's partly a historical thing to deal with the legacy of racism in America. I agree that for somebody who has violence committed toward them, I think it can feel different. I think somebody who is mugged for your wallet, you think, wow, somebody's really desperate, somebody was really violent. If somebody mugs you and shouts, "Hey Jew," something like that, it can have the effect of feeling like, wow, this is a country that, even though I'm a citizen of this country, I was born in this country, there are people who see me as a total outsider, and that's the feeling of Jews in Germany during the Nazi era who had fought in World War I as soldiers for Germany, and now they were being turned on by their countrymen. So I think there's good reasons to treat those things very seriously. But I agree exactly what you said with if the Israeli government or Netanyahu or even American politicians are going to say, if you criticize Israel when Israel does something that the UN labels as a war crime, you lose the ability for that person, that individual, that agency to call out something that is unambiguously anti-Semitic or a hate crime. And it, like you said, it cheapens it, it dilutes it, it muddies the waters.
What is the most common, in your opinion, Socrates? What is the most common conflation you see between anti-Israel and anti-Semitism? What is most commonly called anti-Semitism that isn't anti-Semitism? Can you give me an example?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So critique of the state of Israel. So let me be clear. There's a difference between saying Israel should not exist and Israel should stop occupying lands that were acquired through war. Those are so. If somebody says Israel should be wiped off the map, I think that's anti-Semitic. But if somebody says Israel needs to stop occupying these lands, the next step, people will say, well, if they stop occupying, then they'll be defenseless and then they'll be destroyed. So it's the same thing. So they're kind of doing this like slippery slope, like, well, if they didn't do this thing, then they would be destroyed. And so what you're calling for is the destruction. I don't think you can live life that way, where you take everything 100 steps down the line to say, well, if I don't do this, then something might happen. And so you want me dead because you're saying for me to not do this thing that's wrong that I think I need to do. So that the conflation of criticizing, let's say criticizing Netanyahu, who's the prime minister of Israel. He's a politician who's very corrupt, who Israelis hate, and were protesting just weeks before October 7th. That's a very common conflation that is, I think, generally baseless. I don't know that I've heard a specifically anti-Semitic criticism of Netanyahu. I'm sure there are some. I'm sure they call him.
I mean, if you're drawing him with like the large
with a big nose,
and money, like piles of coins in the background.
Fair enough. Of course, that would be anti-Semitic.
To Nick, like what I guess what about you in your kind of work that you're doing politically wise and things like that? Well, I guess I'll just ask you directly. Does Britain have an anti-Semitism problem?
If you'd asked me a month ago, I'd have said no.
Okay.
Today, I'd be a fool if I said no now. It's quite obvious on the streets of London that we have. It's still, I would say, it's smaller than people think it is, because most of the people marching are not anti-Semitic, but some of the scenes are absolutely anti-Semitic. So yes, we
Can you give me an example of one of these scenes that you would characterize as a good example of actual anti-Semitism that's happening in Britain?
Yeah, I mean, if you look online, you'll see videos from London of chanting, kill the Jews. The chants are not always about
kill
Israel.
the Jews is probably a good one, right? Is there anything a little more subtle?
Yeah.
Is there anything a little more subtle that you think that people? Do you think there's any kind of anti-Semitism that's being overlooked that we're not talking about that's happening in Britain right now?
No, it's not like people would think it is, such as organizations, such as the state. That anti-Semitism as probably hasn't existed in my lifetime. The problem we have now really is the importation of the third world into the UK, who have brought their problems with them. And it's not just the Palestine-Israel conflict that brought many problems. It was only last year, I believe, 18 months ago, we had riots in Leicester, which is a city in England, between people of Pakistani descent and people of Indian descent who were rioting and trying to kill each other over a cricket match that happened on a different continent between India and Pakistan. So we're importing other people's problems. And the reason why we're fighting these problems, a large part of it is we don't have our own problems anymore. Life is so good in the West, we've got to make up problems and import problems. Otherwise, we won't have problems.
Yeah, I don't know if that's exactly true. And it sounds to me like a non-charitable view of what you just said, Nick, a non-charitable, I want to be clear, would be like, oh, so Britain's not anti-Semitic, but those foreigners, oh boy, are they anti-Semitic. Do you see how that might be a little hard to swallow for some people?
Well, let's be honest. Most of them are foreigners, but it's not just foreigners. We have an increase over the last 20, 30 years in the UK of the far left in this country, and they're very anti-Semitic. Again, they're only small numbers. We've had people in Parliament being disciplined over being anti-Semitic. We had the former leader of our Labour Party, which is the second party in the UK, kicked out of the party for being anti-Semitic. So it does exist. It's always existed. Everything exists. That's why we have these problems. Some people are sexist, some people are racist. Some people are thieves, some people are rapists. There's always people in these groups who have these thoughts, who are criminals or not criminals or think differently. We're never going to get rid of it completely. We never are.
Fair enough, right? But I don't know. It's one of the problems I've had, and I'll take some time here if both of you don't mind,
Please,
because
yeah.
this is something that I've seen, and it's been a struggle for me, right? I am not new to the Palestine-Israel conflict. I am not an expert by any means, right? But the first book I ever read on the conflict, I grew up a Mormon, right? And one of the leaders of my church wrote a book on the 6-Day War. And I remember being 9 years old in my church's library, and I saw it. And I was, 6-Day War is cool, right? And I picked it up, and I read the whole thing, and it was interesting to me. It was kind of fascinating. And again, not an expert, but it's something I've followed. I'm old enough to remember when Rabin and Yasser Arafat were shaking hands, right? And Clinton's like kind of standing over them and things like that. And yeah, it's just been wild to kind of see the progression and how this has played out, and how everyone has kind of new to the conflict, just kind of reaching in and seeing how these things are playing out. But when we say, right, that a lot of these things aren't anti-Semitism, I don't know if that's exactly true. I understand your point, Socrates, about there's this slippery slope that you can have, right, where if you say if then that then must X, and then suddenly anti-Semitism. I get that, right? But to deny, right, that there are people, what else do you call it when an older man waving an Israeli flag is hit on the head with a microphone and killed than anti-Semitism, right? Is it possible that he didn't have any hatred for Jews in his heart and just wanted to beat up an Israeli? It's possible, but at a certain point, like, how much charity do we give these things or these events? I think it would be fair, right, to say that the person, the older gentleman who broke in and stabbed a young Muslim kid to death.
It was a Palestinian kid.
Palestinian kid. That was
In America.
Islamophobia.
Yeah.
I have no problems. That's Islamophobia. That's hate. Why the hesitancy to call it out on the other side? And that's the asymmetry at play here is what bothers me. We can easily recognize Islamophobia, and at least in America, right? I can't speak so much for Britain, but at least in America, it's very easy to call out. It's very easy to recognize. We see it. We can mess with it. We're like, yeah, this is obviously Islamophobia. This is hate. This is something we should disavow. But when it happens to Jewish individuals, or those supporting Jewish individuals, or even if they think they're Jewish individuals, like the young lady who drove her car into the black Hebrew Israelites, thinking they were Jews as well. Like, that was funny. But yeah, I don't understand. Like, why are we so scared to just call it anti-Semitism? What's wrong with that?
So there's something that I want to highlight, because this is something I've been thinking about with this conflict, where there's kind of two perspectives on, like, power and speech and calling things out. On the left, it's easy for us to call out Islamophobia. On the other hand, we had a president who told a Muslim congressperson from Queens to go back to where she came from, to go back to her own country, and then banned people from coming from Muslim countries to America. So on one hand, we could talk about it, but people in power do another thing. And so the kind of asymmetry you're talking about, okay, lots of Twitter threads, and then you have the president of the United States. And then on the other hand, when he's doing something like that, or there are people, someone like 𝕵𝖎𝖎𝖙 is saying that Palestinians like to live in filth and bomb shit. Israelis like to build, and Palestinians like to live in filth and bomb shit. There's people on the left who don't like that, but he's not facing anything on the right. But then when you have this 𝕾𝖍𝖙 editor who's tweeting out pretty salient, I think it was like a reasonable point to make, cartoon, or you have calls for the resignation of the president of UPenn because he didn't comment immediately for I think like 6 days after October 7th. He didn't immediately make a statement, and then there were billionaire donors threatening to
Sure, I have
pull
no
out from the
problem condemning
university.
all of that as overreactions, as not okay, as again anti-free speech. I condemn it all, right? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. These things shouldn't have happened. This guy shouldn't have been fired. They shouldn't call for this guy's resignation. Again, you can go through them. Even 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙 𝖘𝖍𝖔, should she have been fired? That one's a tougher one.
I think
Probably
she
not,
probably
right?
should have been. I think her. So I have a slightly different stance in terms of I think if somebody makes somebody's kind of like a public figure within their role as a job. So if a CEO says something really dumb very publicly, I think it's reasonable for them to be
Sure.
removed.
Sure.
If she were like an Amazon worker packing boxes, I don't think whatever she says, there's no kind of PR hit really.
And can I jump in?
Yeah, it's
please,
a conversation.
absolutely,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yep. Let's get back to the question still about hate. What's wrong with hate?
What's wrong with hate? Well, nothing in and of itself. It's just when you hate with no reason or hate for a wrong reason.
No.
No. If we want to go meta with
this, if I want to hate somebody,
sure.
I should have the right to hate anybody I want to hate. If I hate the Jews, that's down to me. That's none of your business. If I hate Muslims, that's down to me. That's my business. It's no one else's business. It's only becomes someone else's business if I then break the law, which is usually action. So if I do something about it, I can hate who I want. When we was at war in my lifetime, so when we was at war with Argentina over the Falkland Islands, if there was a poll saying, shall we carpet bomb Argentina? I'd even tick in that box, yes. Carpet bomb them all. Because we're at war. Same when we was in war with Germany in World War II. Could we have destroyed the whole of Germany if we could? Press that button, destroy them all.
I think
it's called war.
Yeah.
And hate is a natural instinct about self-preservation and your tribe's preservation. Nothing necessarily wrong with hate.
But you've just elucidated what is wrong with hate. If we give in to hate, there would be no more Middle East, right? We would have, after 9/11 in this country, it would have been a parking lot. It would have been glass. And that is obviously a horrific kind of crime that would have occurred had we given in to our most hateful instincts. So is there something wrong with hate? Yes and no. It leads to brutality. It leads to us being willing to dehumanize and see other people as less than, and that leads to terrible things. And I think some of the worst crimes that have been committed in history were due to hate. So what's wrong with hate? That's one of the things that's wrong with hate. Now, how do we legislate that? How do we work with that? How do we deal with that? Those are all different questions. I want to read $5 from Testicle Johnson, who paid me money. I agree with Nick. Both foreigners and leftists have eroded strong British values in our country. They come over here and refuse to integrate. Well, thank you for the $5. But yeah, I just think that the reason that that anti-Semitism or Islamophobia or any of this, the reason all of this is a problem is because of what it's going to, we can see it boiling over. It is getting worse, not better. And as this conflict goes, we've had several deaths. There are going to be more. I want to avoid that. I want to rein that in. I want to tamp that down. And so the only way we can do that, in my opinion, is by recognizing, first and foremost, there is a problem in America. There is a problem in Britain. There's a problem in the West where we are letting our hate win, and we have to stop that. I don't know. Do you disagree?
It's the complete opposite. The complete opposite. The reason why these problems are getting worse is not because we're getting more hateful. I think you'd probably agree. Over the last 100 years, our societies have become less hateful, more compassionate.
We're talking about the last month, like the hate that was on display after even in the protests today, that did not exist a month ago to this level. It just did not, right?
There will always be peaks and troughs over such a tiny period. But if you look over the last 100 years, over the last 300-400 years, the West has become less hateful, more tolerant, more compassionate. And any graph will probably show you that. That's the problem. Compassion And tolerance isn't always, just like hate always isn't a good thing, compassion and tolerance isn't always a good thing.
Okay, Socrates, tolerance. The problem? What do you think?
Yeah, so I wasn't planning to, but I like this 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙𝖘𝖍𝖔𝖜 tweet, who wrote, people who don't know him, he was a Holocaust survivor, wrote books about his experience, and he said that the opposite of shoot, let me try not to butcher this quote. We'll see if I can do it. He said that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is apathy. And so I think hate begets hate, begets violence. Can never get peace. If one group of people is trying to kill down to every last man, woman, child of another group, and they're trying to do the same, there's no point for them to shake hands and say, okay, let's cool off, let's not kill each other. I think it's wonderful that Germany still exists, and the German
That's
people.
why wars need to be won. That's the lesson.
Well, they need to be won.
We don't win wars anymore now. We don't solve a problem. We call for a ceasefire, and we allow it all to bubble up again, and then it all kicks off again. And that's what we keep doing with these.
What do you mean solve a problem? Now. Like this sounds like a call to like just end the other side entirely, right? Would that solve the problem? I guess, but I don't want to live in that world where we just the other side, we're just going to wipe them out. I think that's a bigger problem. Does that make sense?
Do you think we could have negotiated with Adolf Hitler?
No, I mean, I think someone like Hitler or with the Nazi regime.
No, but I don't think there's. Germany still exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't need to make Germany not exist, right?
We would have done if we would have had the technology.
And that would have been a terrible thing. I think that we have shown that we did not need to erase Germany to erase Hitler, right? I think that goes to my point, that had we the technology, we would have, but that would have been a crying shame.
How many tens of thousands of British men lost their lives fighting in Germany so we could take Berlin? In fact, it was the Russians who lost most people taking Berlin.
Yeah.
And if you'd have said to me, who's more important, 10,000 UK soldiers or 20 million German civilians, I'd have said 10,000 British soldiers are more important.
Yeah, and that was
war.
Yeah, and that was certainly the doctrine. There was firebombing of Dresden, firebombing of Dresden. There was the nukes dropped on Japan. I understand that perspective, and I'm certainly not advocating for, we should have been more compassionate to Hitler. That's not at all where I'm coming from. But I'm saying that
probably shouldn't have bombed Dresden like that, though, right? Like probably shouldn't have done that.
I'm not a World War II historian.
Okay, I'll take that brave position and brave stance. That was probably unnecessary. We probably didn't need to do that.
Another question would have been, should we have dropped the 2 bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Well, personally, I think yes, but I think that was a very different situation because, again, they didn't surrender after we dropped the first bomb. The first bomb we dropped, and they tried to, even after the second bomb, the Japanese, the younger Japanese enlisted tried to coup, right? The emperor tried to break in and stop them from surrendering. So I think that was a very different situation. When it came to...
Every situation was different.
Sure.
The war was almost over at that point, as in the tide was going one way. Japan was never going to win at that point. The reason why they dropped the bombs is because they didn't want to waste 100,000 young American lives storming beaches. And it was like, we put our people first. Again, compassion and tolerance in war means you lose.
Yeah, but we didn't nuke all of it, right? We can understand that there are some things that, okay, if this is going to get us to where we want to go, quicker or easier or with less loss of life, we can look at it and we can see if that will be a thing. But what we didn't do is just glass Japan as a whole, because that would have ended the war too. But we can understand that there are some lines. Huh? Say one more time.
We didn't have the weapon. If we'd have had 74,000 nuclear warheads at that point,
you think we would have, for real?
I'm not saying we would have knocked off the map. We'd have bombed more than 2 cities. We only had 2 bombs.
Yeah, I just don't think so.
We have a nasty, evil, hateful, violent creature. And what we need to do is realize that and then try to contain those traits in us. What we need to stop doing is pretending we can become compassionate, tolerant, loving, and let's all hold hands and let's all sing Kumbaya, and the baddies then will sing Kumbaya, and that will lead to self-destruction. We've got to contain our violence as well.
Yeah, I think, like you said, every situation is different. The situation that I generally find myself focused on is thinking about, so within, say, within the United States, within the UK, where we have you know, different ideological groups that are the constituents of our countries. In the US, we have, you know, very conservative people, very liberal people, and with a big country, so people can move to, you know, very, you know, different states and form, you know, very different kind of sub societies within one broader society. But I don't think there's any solution to our disagreements that involves, you know, total warfare between us. I mean, look at you and me. I'm a much more left wing person. It seems like you're a little bit more right wing, but we have a lot that we can agree on and a lot that we can come together on, in seeing that kind of cancel culture and corporatism and attacks on free speech, and there are things that unite us with that. And when we get into that mode of hate where we see, you know, I'm sure there's something you could say, or there's something that I could say that would make either of us emotionally think, wow, this guy sucks. You know, I hate this guy even for a moment. And when we can't get out of that mode, then we miss out on being able to progress. You know, we don't have to be holding hands all the time, but sometimes we have to take up arms together. Right, within the UK, there were disagreements during World War II, but everybody took up arms to fight against this greater threat. And so I guess that's the spirit I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a good point. So the point I was making then was talking about foreign enemies.
Yeah.
So as in a country, what stops that is the nation state. So when you live in a nation state, as you know, we have something called patriotism. That's when you put your country first. So I disagree with many people in my country, but they're still my fellow countrymen and women.
Yeah.
And they have a right to express their views. They have a right to take my country in a direction I don't want them to take it. If there's enough of them and they vote on it and it's a peaceful democratic transition to a way of living that I don't want to live that way, that's absolutely fine. And that's what used to hold us together. And we used to have trust in a ballot box, and we would debate things. And people, there's a phrases when I grew up, and we used to say to people, let's agree to disagree, shall we? Which meant, let's change the conversation because we're not going to agree on this, but we're still friends. So let's change the conversation. No one does that now. It's now, you're a Nazi. You're evil. You want those people to die. It's like, I never said anything like that.
Yeah.
Just because we disagree doesn't make us enemies. And the only way we don't turn to violence internally is we need to come together over certain values, and that's what keeps a country together. But in the West and in the UK, and from what I've seen in America, we're losing those shared values. We can't even agree on what the truth is anymore now. It's my truth. Well, there's only one truth, mate. And that's the big problem for the West, is the disintegration of the nation states into tribalism.
So here's a question I have. So you're absolutely right that there's so much kind of willfully ingested misinformation from that you know, people of all walks of life engage in now.
And there always has been.
Yeah, always has been. To me, what I see when I see whether it's you know, some leftist protesting something that maybe they don't, you know, isn't they're saying something stupid because they're not really kind of invested in a struggle. They just want to be part of it. Or there's some for us, we have these kind of loony 𝕾𝖎𝖎 people who believe that somebody's going to come back from the dead and become president, things like that. For me, it feels like there's some kind of disconnection from the conversation that they're feeling. There's some kind of like emotional response of feeling left out of society. I don't know. What do you think about that? Because it seemed like you had a backstory of feeling like you felt a little bit kind of not quite sure for a while how to connect to society, and then you figured it out, and now you're going out and helping other people kind of integrate into society.
Yeah. Post Second World War, I think the West started declining. We didn't see it happening because we had a big enemy called the Soviet Union that we were terrified of. So that sort of kept our eye on an enemy. So we didn't look internally. And we made so many mistakes. Technology, the loss of religion, the loss of fathers in the home. And then the Soviet Union collapsed, and then there was no more enemies then. So then we really started looking internally then, and then we started blaming our governments for everything that was going wrong instead of looking externally at a boogeyman. And I do believe at that point then, outside foreign states started interfering in the West. People, like Russia, Iran, China, there'll be other countries. And that's not a conspiracy theory, because we're doing exactly the same in other countries. We're messing with their elections. We're sending propaganda out to other countries. This has been going on for 1,000 years. This is the original politics, is messing in foreign countries' politics. That's what we've always done. I think they called it the big game or something like that. People wrote about it 100 years ago. And they've sowed seeds. They've sowed the seeds of destruction in the West, and they're fertilizing them and watering them, and we're destroying ourselves. Now, I've said for many years now, we probably need a bloody good war. And I hate to be proven right on this. We need a bloody good war where we realize how important our nation state is, when we see our fellow family members, citizens coming home in body bags. And that then will re-energize the nation state, as in we need to protect ourselves. At the moment, we've had it too good for too long, and we think it's always going to be like this.
I'll jump in because I substantively disagree with all of this, right? And I'll tell you why, right? There is no evidence that I see that any great conflict would bring us closer together. In fact, I think that it has much potential, especially with the way social media works, the way we get information, to just tear us apart even more. If we had a Pearl Harbor-like event, or even a 9/11-like event today, in today's America, would we rally around the flag that we have in the past? I don't think we would. I think that would be a substantively different experience, just based on the tools we use to communicate and how we communicate. In addition, right, the fact that I refuse to believe that the only way we can strengthen ourselves to come together as people is through mass death and mass die-off events. I am not that black-pilled. I've hopium, as they say on the internet, right? I've hopium that there are far more ways that we can coalesce around shared values, as you say, and come together in ways that don't involve, again, massive die-offs. And when people say this, like you have, Nick, right? That you have that, like, we just need a war to a bunch of people to die so that my view of society can rise to the top. It's horrific to me in plain terms, right? It's a horrific idea. I disagree strongly. I think that the evidence doesn't bear it out, and I think that it's just going to push people away, because when people hear you say that, it's hard for them to come to your point of view, Nick, because they say, "Oh, well, this guy just wants war. We don't want war. Well, this guy just wants war."
I'm not wishing for this. I'm just saying that would work. That would bring us together. I think if you suffered another 9/11, I think you'd all be around the flag again. It's human nature. Once there's an outside threat, people coalesce in the tribe because they're terrified. They're looking for someone to protect them. It's human nature. Why do you think Hamas is constantly sending crap rockets over to Israel? It's because they know when they get bombed back, it rallies the people in Palestine. It rallies other people around the world. We're a tribal creature, and at times of war and times of danger, we rally together. It's the only way we save ourselves. Now, you're right. That's not the only way we can save ourselves. Hopefully, I'm hoping we've got some new leaders coming through in the UK. Now we've left the EU. We've never had leaders while we've been in the EU. We've only had middle managers who pretended to be politicians. All they did was implement directives from the EU. But we should have some new leaders coming through now, the grassroots. So in 10, 20 years from now, maybe we'll have some fantastic leaders who will lead the country somewhere better. But we're 10, 20 years away from that. And there's many things that can save us, but a quick fix, and I don't want a war, of course I don't want a war, but a quick fix would be something like that, would rally any country together. Happens all the time. It's every history book tells you that.
So the thing that I agree with is that I think we do need a cause, a purpose. I don't think that it has to be a war, but even something like, you know, in the US we had okay, maybe it's not an amazing example. I was going to say the space race because that was related to the Cold War, which was not which is an external threat, but some kind of I think we could probably agree that people people who especially end up, you know, much more radical are people who feel like they don't have a purpose. Their society doesn't have a purpose. And in a country where it's like, okay, well, you know, what's our purpose? It's got to be, you know, it's got to be the stock market. That's the only thing that matters. That's like, that's what so much of our political reality comes down to. Is it's like, is the GDP going up? Not, you know, can people, you know, are people's economic tensions getting less? Do people feel like they have some kind of like you said, some kind of fabric of society, something that weaves us together, that we're all striving for together, that are individual differences. Sorry?
It's the only. Oh, go ahead.
If I'm going to say, there's one thing that could happen that could bring most of the world together overnight,
Aliens.
and that would be if we discovered intelligence in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
If a spaceship landed tomorrow, or we found, no, I'm not about microscopic life somewhere, but if we found, you know, spaceship, and you know, we made first contact, that would change the world overnight.
It would change the world, whether it would be for better or for worse, whether it would bring us together or tear us apart. I'm not so confident as you.
I think it would bring us together more because we would have to come together.
Immediately, what would happen is we would have a major division whether we should deal with these aliens or kick them out. That would be a huge point of contention right away that would cause and create
we would,
massive
the first
divisions
would be,
and
are
conflict.
they here to invade us?
If they're here to invade us, we could definitely come together in some kind of human...
Independence Day with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Before his wife got older and turned him into a woman.
But we look at smaller, like, this doesn't play out in even smaller communities as well, right? Like, let's go back to the topic at hand, anti-Semitism. Even among the Jewish community, it's caused a rift, as Socrates could probably really talk about. Like, it's a group that is under attack right now, like currently, by outside forces, and yet it's not creating this rallying effect, right?
Well, so let me say that's not exactly right.
Okay, correct me, please.
So it's created two different rallying effects. So two groups I wanted to bring up were Jewish Voices for Peace and If Not Now, going off of the famous Hillel quote from like 2,000 years ago. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, who am I? And if not now, when? And so it's saying, if not now, when are we going to stand up and speak out? And so the thing that I felt really good about seeing from the Jewish community are people in groups like these, Jewish Voices for Peace, if not now, standing up and saying, we're Jewish, we oppose the Israeli occupation, the West Bank and Gaza because of our Judaism. Yes, we're afraid of anti-Semitism. Yes, we really want to have a Jewish state where if there are pogroms or Holocausts in our country, then we can flee to and know that we'll be safe. We desperately want these things, but at the same time, we can't stand by and allow our religion or our identities to be weaponized to some purpose that we believe is counter to what those values are. So that's a rallying cry that I've seen that I'm very heartened by.
And are those Jews living in America, or are they Israeli Jews?
This is international. I know there are organizations in Israel that are, I think they've been called peaceniks for a long time, that are like anti-war Israelis. My Israeli friend is just telling me that in Israel, the current conflict has united them for the most part.
But that's not always a good thing, right? Like, we could look at the aftermath of the Second Intifada, right? That did create a rallying around the flag effect, but it led to Netanyahu. And
yeah, no, so that's a separate thing. But the rallying of Jews to say, yes, we are Jewish. Maybe you expect us to be fervently pro-Israel.
Oh, Socrates, you keep banging on your table. It's picking up on your mic.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Passionate. These are people who are standing up and saying, yes, we are Jewish. You may expect us to therefore be fervently pro-Israel, but in fact we are not. We criticize actions of this state government which claims to do these things in our name, but we are against this. I think that's a radically powerful statement, because that's within a community criticizing something that it's not impossible to be called an anti-Semite if you're a Jew, but it's a little bit harder. It's a little bit harder to be cancelled for it.
If I was a Jew or anybody living in Israel, I'd be telling those Jews to shut up. What has this got to do with you? You don't live in this country. So, and you commenting on this is part of the problem why everybody connects Jews to Israel. Instead of using the word Israeli, they use the word Jew, because Jews across America and other places in the world are always talking about Israel. And that conflation between those two things is part of the problem, which leads to anti-Semitism, because Israel and Jew now are interchangeable in many conversations, and they shouldn't be. They should be distinct.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think you were saying something to contradict what I'm saying, but I think it's actually part of what I'm saying, because there's this conflation by Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, by the Israeli government, saying that if you criticize our state actions, right? If you were to criticize the UK, you wouldn't say like you hate Caucasian people or something like this. There's this conflation to a large degree because of the result of the statements of the Israeli government, and there are people abroad who are feeding into this narrative, and there are, of course, people in the Jewish community who are fervently pro-Israel, who do consider criticism of Israel to be anti-Semitic, and there are some real logical reasons for that, right? If the state of Israel were to not exist, Jews across the world wouldn't have a place to flee. For me, I don't like that there's a state out there saying that, hey, you, Socrates, support our actions because you're Jewish. Hey, everybody, this guy supports our actions because he's Jewish. That puts a target on my back. And I don't like that, and I repudiate it.
Sure. I understand it, right? Like it can be frustrating, especially when you're told you have to think this way, you have to say this thing, or else you're not really
Well,
X or you're not really
it's
Y.
more than frustrating. It's scary.
Yeah, yeah, because people, again, you through no fault of your own, through no will of your own, in fact, against and counter to your will, are being lumped in with a group that you do not support, and it, like you said, very scary, especially in these tumultuous times. Um, a question for both of you though, right? Because we've talked about this distinction throughout this whole conversation. I want to talk about the people who are using this conflation as a shield in the other direction. So what I mean by that is people who are anti-Semitic, but they couch their rhetoric, they're deceptive by it. And I'll give you an example. So we all know the chant, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." That's not the chant in Arabic. That's not. It's "From the river to the sea, Palestine is Arab." There's a substance difference there. And on signage that they use in the West, in America and the UK both, not always, but often, they will have the English version on one side, but then the Arabic version on the other. Now, I know most of the people that are carrying around these signs probably don't realize, right? They don't know Arabic, right? But it does it not speak to, at least on the part of the people passing out the signage, organizing the events, etc., a willingness to deceive, to use these Western people who are like you, who again don't conflate the two, as a Trojan horse for kind of an anti-Semitic voice. Because if, for me, the problem I have is if you're an organization and you're deceiving people like this, I don't believe you when you say your intention is for a two-state solution, because you've deceived me once. How do I know you're not deceiving me now? Why should I trust you? And that is, I think, one of the biggest problems I have with some of these protests, the organizers, to be clear, of some of these protests. Now, obviously, the people on the grassroots level, chanting gas the Jews, etc., that's a problem too. But I want to talk about the more insidious problem here. What are your thoughts here?
Me to go first?
Yeah, please.
Yep. So my initial thought would be, even the Arabic version, I wouldn't say is anti-Semitic. Or, from the river to the sea, the land will be Arabic. Well, yeah, I wouldn't say that is anti-Semitic. Israel by itself has, I know they say they've got a God-given right to exist and have that land, but really there's no right for them to have it. They've won it because they were stronger than the other people who were there. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. That's how virtually every country in the world has created itself. So people who support Palestine, I would say most of them, some of them, I don't know how many, some of them don't want Israel to exist. That's not the same as wanting every Jew in Israel to be killed. They just don't want Israel to exist.
But it's not.
Now, that's a problem.
Yeah, but it's.
Sorry?
I understand that, right? I get that. Like, I get that, but and I understand to Socrates' point earlier about the slippery slope, right? Like, if then that. But this isn't that slippery. It's like a one-to-one thing. Like, we can recognize it. These groups, the 𝕵𝖎𝖎, Hamas, etc. What will happen if there is no Israel? Like, we understand what they will try to do. And it's not going to be
Perfectly
pretty.
clear. Those organizations are perfectly clear what they want to do.
Yeah.
They want to exterminate every Jew in Israel.
Yes,
Make it
and that is
clear.
that. How is that not anti-Semitic?
That is anti-Semitic.
So
of course
when you were again carrying signage and when you were saying these things again, you may not know or intend to, right?
They're useful idiots.
Okay, I still think that is a form of anti-Semitism. I think that is a form of anti-Semitism. I'm curious what Socrates would think though on that.
Yeah, I mean, to your first question, is that deceptive? Of course, that's deceptive because there's. So for me, I hear kind of a bunch of readings at once when I hear from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, or Palestinians will be free. I hear, you could hear that, and you could hear, okay, every Palestinian living within Israel, within Gaza, within West Bank, should have full human rights. And then there's something like, it should be like a one state, but if it's a full democracy and there's right of return, then it would be an Arab state or an Islamic state, or a Muslim state. And then there's something like, full on genocide. So when I hear someone chanting that, I generally assume that it's like the most kind of humanitarian version of that, because I don't find it useful usually to assume that people are just kind of the most hateful version, until I talk to them,
What if
and then they can prove me wrong.
What if they're waving the Confederate flag and saying heritage, not hate? Do you extend the same charity there? They're like, hey, no, we're not racist, bro.
Yeah, I do.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
I do.
If you have that same energy,
yeah,
more power to you. I just don't think most people would. Most people wouldn't answer the same way as you do.
I think they should.
Okay,
I think when we prejudge somebody and we see, one signifier, even if it's a big signifier, and we see somebody with a thin blue line flag, and they're like, oh, they love the police, they're a fascist, they hate black people. You start assuming all these things, and you talk to them, and they say, oh, my brother is in the police, and I'm worried about him getting hurt. And you say, oh, this is somebody who has empathy for somebody, right? So when you assume that, you don't let yourself learn something further. What you're saying about, the Arab version, if what that means is we're going to kill or run out all of the Jewish people in Israel and destroy the state. I mean, Israel is an internationally recognized state. It has a right to exist. I think I would probably call that anti-Semitic, because it's hard for me to read that in a way that doesn't imply something like, hating Jews. It's not like Palestinians should have full governmental control. There's a problem with slogans too, which is
Well, that's a more meta point that I want to bring up as well at some point. But I don't know if this is the right format
but to
or
me,
venue for
yeah,
it. But we've sloganized
the Arab version
all
sounds
advocacy.
a lot more anti-Semitic.
Yeah, we've sloganized all of advocacy on almost everything, right?
Defund the police is a classic one, because people on the left didn't even know or agree with what it meant. Did it mean reallocate some city resources to education? Did it mean literally don't have a police department? Like, nobody even knew what it meant on the left. It's like not a good slogan.
Nick Buckley, now that why we have you here, I wanna veer off course a little bit, if you'll indulge me, because you're here and I want to take advantage of that. You're running for mayor. Tell us why.
I'm running for mayor of Greater Manchester, which is a region in the north of England. A simple answer is I'm sick of it all. I'm just sick of our politicians. I'm sick of the corruption. I'm sick of mainly the incompetence. I'm sick of the way the country's going, and I'm sick of the way my city is going. So I've decided to throw my hat in the ring. It's another 6 months until the election. I've been working on this now for 6 months, full time. I've given my job up, so I can taking a year off so I can work on this full time. And I'm going, if elected, I'm just going to try to fix the city I love. And the first step will be the police.
The police. What's the main issue with policing in Britain, in your opinion?
It's become too woke, too pink, too fluffy. We police feelings. Are you okay? Or we're sorry. And it's like, no, I don't want that sort of policing. I want criminals afraid of the police. And at the moment, criminals laugh at the police in the UK. And you can commit a crime. Most of the time, you're not even arrested anymore now. I want to get back to basics. I want to get back to where criminals were afraid, and we tackle the people that neighbourhoods want us to tackle: the drug dealing, the burglary, the antisocial behaviour. Your car being broken into, your house being broken into. I want to tackle those crimes instead of tackling hate crime online.
I guess I would ask, right? because I've seen some pretty. I'm not, again. I don't know the region as well as you do. Obviously, I did actually live in England for 7 years when I was very young, but separate story. But my question, like, I've seen videos online of brutal treatment of protesters by the police in England, and you are telling me that they're too soft, too pink, too fluffy, too woke. Can you square this circle for me? Because again, all the
Yeah,
videos I've seen online, all the reports I have from the British members of my community, I have several who do want to call in later and talk to you for a bit. So I hope you can set aside a few minutes for that.
yeah.
But yeah, why am I seeing all
I
these?
can tell
Right?
you the
Yeah,
protest.
please.
It's because the police are now directed by governments and politicians. So certain protests, like Free Palestine, will stand back, do what you want, shout terrorist slogans, shout "We'll kill Jews." You don't even get arrested because the police are saying we don't want any trouble, we don't want it to kick off, we don't want riots, so we just want it to be as peaceful as possible. Now, a couple of years ago, if you were marching and protesting about the COVID lockdowns, the police went in there with truncheons and smashed your face in. So it depends what protest you're on. Um, Most protests, like we have the eco nutcases in England, like just stop oil, Extinction Rebellion. They can do horrendous things. They can cause criminal damage and smash windows, and they're not even handcuffed. They're slowly guided into a vehicle to take into the police station. We have videos of police officers skateboarding with illegal protesters because they're just trying to be their friends. We have videos of chief inspectors saying to protesters, "Can I get you all a cup of tea? You look a bit cold sat there." If it was a COVID march, you got your head smashed in. So so it all depends what march you were looking at.
Interesting. Other than policing, what are some problems that you think that you could solve as mayor? Who the current mayor of the area? How are they failing?
Oh, the current mayor is called Andy Burnham. He's a big politician in the UK. He's a Labour
Mm,
politician. He There's a good chance he won't stand again. He's going to go to Houses of Parliament and try to become Prime Minister. So he's at that level. I hope he doesn't stand because whoever replaces him will be easy for me to beat. He's a big hitter. Um, 6 years ago, he said he would solve rough sleeping. So he would solve people sleeping on the streets in Greater Manchester in 3 years. It's now had 6.5 years, and it's slightly better than it was. And he spent hundreds of millions of pounds. I'll solve rough sleeping in a year. The reason why I can do it in a year is because I've spent 20 years working with rough sleepers. I've created award-winning projects, getting people off the streets. I've sat on street corners hundreds of times, speaking to hundreds of people, trying to understand why they're there, why they won't take the help and support on offer. I've got all the solutions. The plan's already wrote. It'll take 12 months. That's all it will take to get everybody off the streets. That's the easy bit. The hard bit is to stop people from other parts of the UK coming and filling their spot on the streets of Greater Manchester. And I've got a plan for that as well. That will stop new people arriving. There's no point having a conveyor belt where you're taking people off the top as more people are joining the bottom of the conveyor belt. You need to stop the conveyor belt. So I'll do that in a year. I'm going to be creating a free speech charter for Greater Manchester. So I'll commission the Free Speech Union and some solicitors to get together, and based on existing law, because I can't create new laws in the UK, but based on existing law, I'm going to create a charter for Greater Manchester that people, if they're told by their bosses, you need to do this, you need to say that, you need to put your pronouns, or the police stop you and say, you can't say that. This will be on the website where you can go, excuse me, the Mayor of Greater Manchester says I can say these things because look at the charter. And it'll all be based in law. I want to help people to be free.
okay.
I'm going to look at corruption, political corruption. I'm going to create a very small, dedicated police team looking at political corruption in the UK. Because there's so many rumours and so many stories of backhanders, corruption, millions going missing, that we're going to have a team looking at that. The reason why that doesn't happen now, because as a politician, as the mayor, I would like to be an MP one day and be Prime Minister one day. I'm not going to get that if I've got a political corruption team embarrassing other people. But I don't want to be Prime Minister. I don't want to be Mayor after a couple of years. I'm only doing this once. So I'm willing to shake the tree and break some branches to improve the area. So that'd be one of them. I've also publicly told people what a woman is. A woman is an adult human female. Men cannot become women. Women cannot become men. Women don't have penises. If you want to live your life as a woman, good for you. I don't care. I don't want to stop you doing it, and I don't want to put barriers in your way. But you're not a woman. You're a man who wears dresses and wants to live like a woman. Fine. I don't have to agree with your lifestyle, and I don't have to understand it, but I'll allow you to do it because I want you to live in a free country. And I've got some, and then some other policies as well around challenging some of the eco nutcases. We've got a scheme that may be coming to Manchester where we'll be charging extra tax on people who've got commercial vehicles. I'll be scrapping that on day one. I'll be making sure we don't penalise drivers anymore. Yeah, common sense policies, I think.
Okay, well that's interesting. Now I think we've kind of circled the drain on the main topic. I wanted to give Socrates a chance to give some final thoughts on anti-Semitism, cancel culture, and things. And then what I want to do is open it up to callers for a brief moment, right? And allow people to jump in, ask us questions, talk to us for a little bit, and we'll cycle through. It depends on how many people have interest in this. If you are watching this show and you like what you see, take a page out of Tessigle Johnson's book and throw me money. Throws me a few more bucks to say, thank you, Nick, you have my vote. He's not in Britain, but fair enough. Oh. He's one of those foreigners that you'd probably complain about. But anyway, yeah, if you are wanting to jump in, how do you do that? So you ! Discord and chat. You click the link, you accept the rules, you jump backstage, and we'll pull you on. Kilo the Giant, thank you for the gift sub. Really appreciate you. Hardwood and Sock says thank you as well. Thanks again for the support. If you like the stream, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Why does Twitch TV hate me? Again, thank you for the gift sub. Really appreciate it. If we get more and more, we're on a hype train and we get more money. And gang, I can't do this unless you give me money. So give me money. And you know what I hear is anti-Semitism not to give me money when I have a Jewish person on my panel. That's what I hear.
Absolutely
right?
true.
But go ahead, Socrates. Give your spiel, and we'll open it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if there's one thing that I want people to take away from this tonight, it's that there's Jews in America, across the world, have different views of Israel, have different reactions, different people that they relate to, different struggles that they relate to, and there's very large movements of Jews. I mentioned a couple: Jewish Voices for Peace. If not now, these are organizations, started by Jews. You can join if you're not Jewish. You don't have to be Jewish to be part of it. But these are some of the groups of people who are standing up. Some of them are doing protests. I think Jewish Voices for Peace took over the Statue of Liberty and was doing a protest for a ceasefire in Gaza. Both from the perspective of, for those who are trying to cancel somebody who is saying, I think we should have a ceasefire in Gaza, as being anti-Semitic. This is a real thing in America, that politicians are calling people anti-Semitic for calling for a ceasefire. This is something that a lot of people in the Jewish community are doing. So for people who are trying to cancel based on that, that's not at all what's going on in our world. And then on the other hand, for people who might have the perspective that, wow, I really dislike Israel, but all Jews are behind Israel, so I have to hate everybody in the Jewish community. What I'll say to those people is, there's a ton of Jews with you protesting against the actions of Israel, protesting against the actions of Biden in supporting and covering for Israel. So you don't have to hate the Jews. You can come march with them if you have issues with what Israel is doing. So those would be my two primary messages.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at Socrates TV on Twitch, and Real Socrates on Twitter, and Real Socrates on YouTube as well. I have to start uploading. I'm a little nervous to start putting those videos up there, but yeah, gotta pull that cord.
Thanks again for this wonderful discussion, and thanks again to Nick for joining us as well. Nick, where can people find you if they want to know more about you, see more of you? Where's a good space to talk to you? Yeah.
Yep, find me on Twitter, Facebook, big on YouTube as well, and TikTok, and it's all the same handle. It's at Nick Buckley MBE.
At Nick Buckley MBE. Gang, check him out. Thanks again for getting here. And gang, once again, if you want to talk to these people, you got to jump backstage. Some of you are DMing me. That's not going to work. DMing me isn't going to get you to backstage to talk. You have to join the Discord server. You have to click the link. You have to jump backstage. And then I will pull you in one at a time, and we'll have a rousing, wonderful discussion. But nope, DMing me is not going to work. I am sorry. Give it a minute. They struggle. Okay, we have a caller. Hello, you're live.
Hey, Viv.
Hey.
Been a while. How you doing?
Let me. Yeah. It's been a minute, Socrates. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Yeah. God, I mean, you just spent. Sorry, I'm just going to move my microphone. You just spent ages talking about anti-Semitism and the Israel-Palestine conflict, which I think, are things that Nick himself said he doesn't really know that much about. Said he doesn't have the time to research it, etc. It's a very complex issue, and so on, right? I think there are a lot more really interesting things to talk with Nick about.
Well, you have him here. Go ahead. Floor's yours.
I mean, it's difficult to know where to begin. But so I'm trans in the UK. Okay. Actually, you know what? No, I'll start somewhere else. All right. Because I know Nick cares very deeply about homelessness. Okay, and I was homeless from the age of 16. I was street homeless as well, right? Like, I did a little bit of sofa surfing here and there, but like I spent a lot of time on the streets. And I think, Nick, you might remember must be about 15, 16 years ago. I grew up in Essex, right? So about 15, 16 years ago in Colchester, there was one particularly bad winter where it had snowed, and it had snowed hard, and there was it all packed down and it all frozen into ice, and the entire town was like an ice rink, right? There was like a couple of inches of ice over everything. And I lost 2 people that I knew that winter who died from exposure sleeping out on the streets. So I know we both have we both feel for homeless people in this country, right? And I genuinely do believe that, having seen a lot of the things that you've done and that you've spoken about, that you genuinely do care about homelessness as an issue. I don't think your approach to it. Is the best. And I think there are certain things that preclude you from being able to run an organization that deals with homelessness. I like some of your prescriptions. I recognize the fact that people don't want to go to homeless shelters, etc., because of the dogs, because of the because they won't let you take drugs, they won't let you drink, right? That is an issue. But one of the main reasons that I didn't want to go to a homeless shelter was violence. It's fucking terrifying, right? I don't want to get. I was not a drug user, right? I'd have a drink occasionally, but I was not an alcoholic, right? When I say occasionally, I mean literally like 2 or 3 times a week. Like, I'd get a little bit drunk. Like, when you're homeless, like, drink is all around you, so there's always the opportunity. But I was in no way an alcoholic, right? drank more than I probably should at that age, but not like I wasn't reliant upon it at all. But um, but I feel like you used that actually in interviews that you went across various different right wing and far right outlets to defend 𝕾𝖎𝖏 on her comments about how being homeless is a
Can
lifestyle
you,
choice.
just for my American audience, right?
Sure.
I'm curious, like, what are these comments? Can either of you, right? Either
So
Nick or...
I mean, I was just saying them
Oh,
basically.
sorry, go ahead.
𝕾𝖎𝖏 said, and I'm sure Nick will back me up, essentially that being homeless is a lifestyle choice, and that she wanted to do something about the tents on our streets. Right? She wants to pass a law essentially to allow police officers to confiscate tents and to prosecute people for using tents on the street.
Are you in favor of that, Nick? Are you in favor of letting law enforcement confiscate the homeless people's tents and things?
It's more complicated than that. So it's not a yes or no answer. So your caller's right. I take a different approach to rough sleeping. I ran a rough sleeping charity for 15 years that I founded. So this isn't me not understanding the issue. I fully understand. I've got hundreds of people off the streets and into accommodation, and then some of them into employment as well. Like sleeping on the streets for many people is a lifestyle choice. Councils can offer accommodation, can offer support services, and people refuse that. So at that point, it's a lifestyle choice. Once you dig under that, you realize that the services that are on offer are extremely poor, and people don't want to go to hostels because of some of the reasons you just said. The violence, you're going to get robbed, you're going to get mugged, you'll have your possessions stolen, you may be assaulted, they won't take your dog, you can't take drugs, you can't drink alcohol. So people on the streets are thinking to themselves, well, what's the point of going? At that point, it's a lifestyle choice. My answer to that isn't
How is that a
necessarily...
lifestyle choice, Nick?
Because
you're being forced into that, right? Like, if you're terrified to go somewhere because you're worried you're going to suffer violence, you're not making a lifestyle choice to stay out of there. You're staying out there because you're fucking terrified. Like,
it's just as dangerous on the street. In fact, it's more dangerous on the streets than it is in the hostel. But hostels are dangerous themselves. So the problem is the services aren't good enough. So what I want to do is start making those services that people will accept. We've lost all customer service when we come to dealing with rough sleepers. It's take it or leave it. You're lucky we're offering you something in the first place. You're not even fully human. Take this because I'm just going to talk down to you anyway. That's the customer service you get when you're living on the streets. I want to be able to provide services that sit down with you and give you choices. What are your needs? There's no point putting you, when you was rough sleeping, into a hostel full of drug addicts, because the odds are you'd come out of that a drug addict yourself. So we need better choices for those people. And then when it comes to the tents, the reason why tents don't work is because it lets councils off the hook. So rather than councils making sure there's accommodation available, what the councils do now is go, there is no accommodation available. Those charity people will give you a tent and a sleeping bag, and then you're not our concern anymore. So charities that are going around handing out sleeping bags and tents are doing a disservice. They think they're helping, they're not helping, they're creating a bigger problem.
What?
And what we should be doing is holding the councils to account and demanding they do better with our tax money.
So without my tent, when I finally managed to get one, right? Because through my first winter, I actually got myself arrested several times so that I just had a place to sleep so I wouldn't freeze to death, right? But when I finally got my tent, and I set it up in the nature reserve, Hilly Fields. I don't know if you're familiar with it. You're from Manchester, aren't you? So, but I set up my tent there. If I hadn't had that, like, I'd have two choices. It would be freeze to death or try and get myself arrested so I could spend the night in a cell. Because you know what the security chaps are like around England, right? If you try and sleep in a car park, they'll wake you up, move you on. I even had one spray me with water once, right? It was fucking freezing cold outside. Dude hosed me down. Like, that was that was a horrible night. right? So while I agree with you that tents and sleeping bags are not a solution to homelessness, and that the council should not be shirking their responsibility by saying, "Hey, you can get a sleeping bag and a tent over here." At the same time, those tents are saving lives. They're saving people from dying of exposure on the street. The same for the sleeping bags you said shouldn't be handed out. The same for the food you said shouldn't be handed out. All those things are saving lives.
You're shaking your
I
head.
see
Just real
you.
quick, if
I
I
see
may.
you shaking your head. Yeah, why
Stop,
are you shaking
hold
your
on,
head?
hold on. If I may interject just a minute, because I have some questions for you, Nick. Like, I understand what you're saying about how, again, it's kicking the can down to the road, not really solving the problem. But it's really hard to ask an individual homeless person to be a sacrifice, and like, well, you're gonna suffer because we need the bigger problem to be solved. That's a big ask, don't you think? Nick, I want to give you the floor uninterrupted. Sorry, Viv. Uninterrupted to answer for these things. Go ahead.
Well, all I can talk about really is Greater Manchester. In Greater Manchester,
Sure.
there's that much free food in Greater Manchester that you will put weight on if you're a rough sleeper. That's how much food is handed out and is available. I did a exercise a couple of years ago, and you can get free food in Manchester, something like 15 hours a day, just by turning up at different places. 15 hours a day, you can get free food. Food's not a problem on the streets of Greater Manchester. No rough sleeper has ever starved to death. And yeah, so that's not an issue. Winter's an issue. Not one rough sleeper in Greater Manchester has ever died through hypothermia or cold in Greater Manchester. Not one that I know of. And I've been involved in 20 years.
I
Rough
find that
sleepers-
very hard to believe. Sorry, you said no interruptions.
Rough sleepers do die at winter, and they tend to die in winter because their bodies are weak anyway, because usually the drugs, lifestyle choices, decades of abuse, and then sleeping outside in winter is just that extra straw that breaks the camel's back. So some people do die. They don't die of hypothermia. So what we're doing is what we do with all our problems. We don't tackle the root cause. So we don't need to let rough sleepers die because we're trying to make the councils and force the councils to do better. All we need to do is start making sure our politicians do what they say they're going to do. I don't want to live in a society where we let our fellow citizens live on the streets. All we seem to be able to do is make them live slightly more comfortably on the streets. It's not good enough for me. I want them off the streets. I want them into better lives.
Go ahead, Viv.
I mean,
Oh, and Socrates, obviously you're still
so
here.
I don't see a significant difference between your body's weakened, so you ended up dying of a heart attack in 4 a.m. because you were shivering with the cold, to you died of hypothermia, right? Like it smacks to me of like what the Charlottesville people said about the girl who died at Charlottesville, where they were like, she died of a heart attack. Well, yeah, but she got hit by a fucking car. Do you know what I mean? Like they were killed by the cold weather, right? It may have exacerbated previous problems or whatever.
It contributed to
right. And so a tent or a sleeping bag or whatever, like, could potentially have prevented their death. And when you layer that out over a larger population of people, you can say this will likely save lives, right? For them to have at least some kind of shelter would prevent some of those deaths, right? So I just don't fully buy that reason.
What about we get them all off the streets? So
I'd love to get them off the streets.
Let's stop arguing about tents and sleeping bags because we agree on the main issue. Let's get them off the streets.
But the point is,
we don't have to argue then.
The point is, you've said stop handing these things out, right? Yes. You can implement your solution, right, which is improvement of the services being provided, right? I think you said you wanted to build shelters that had kennels with them, where you wouldn't be constantly checking up on whether they'd been drinking or doing drugs. Obviously, if you see them, you have to report the drugs because it's a crime. But other than that, you're not gonna, you're not gonna be hounding them about it. You wouldn't have the curfews, right, which is another thing that really screws with a lot of them. But you can do all that and still allow people to hand out sleeping bags and stuff, right? And when all those people have finally been housed, there won't be as much of a need for people to hand out sleeping bags and so on. I think the idea that people should stop handing these things out, that, as we've said, will likely save lives, right? That they should just stop doing that. I think is frankly deeply irresponsible and would cost
Okay.
lives if it was implemented.
I just want to let you know, Viv, we do have another caller in the waiting room, so I want you to be able to get to all your points, right? So if you
Okay,
have, yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess also we can go back slightly to your cancellation and so on, and your sort of general views on feminism, black people's civil rights, and trans people in the UK, and tie that into the homelessness conversation as well. In that, I think that it is appropriate when someone expresses such a lack of understanding of the disadvantages that different minority groups face in the UK, that all contribute to extremely high levels of homelessness among these demographics: LGBT people, black folks in certain areas, and what was the other one? Women being the greater victims of domestic violence and having to seek out domestic violence shelters and so on, or end up out on the streets, right? Like, all of these things contribute to homelessness, and I think that your position, that being in the position as quote unquote CEO, right? I know it doesn't actually work like that, but that was your job title, wasn't it? CEO of the So being in a position as head of a charity that is supposed to deal with these issues, showing such a lack of understanding of how those issues affect homelessness, I think is a problem, and I think it would be right to question your position there, your effectiveness in the job, and ultimately fire you if you can't demonstrate an understanding of how these issues affect homelessness.
Well, my charity was about rough sleeping, not homelessness. Homelessness is a much wider issue. In Greater Manchester, the vast majority of homeless people living on the streets are white people, so it's not a black issue. Living on the streets, if you're LGBTQ, never come across anybody who is LGBTQ living on the streets. It's a heterosexual issue. If you're a woman, you're not living on this. There's more women live on the streets now than there did 15 years ago, but they're still only like 10%. So none of those issues affect those people more than white heterosexual males, I'm afraid.
I mean, so the majority of people who are on the streets in the UK, and in most big cities, are probably going to be white heterosexual males, right? Because as you said, women tend to be less on the streets, or at least did like 15 years ago. I still see quite a few women out on the streets nowadays. But at least white and heterosexual, because that is the majority of the country. But LGBT people are extraordinarily disproportionately likely to end up homeless, right? As in, the numbers are pretty astonishing. I can't remember what they were off the top of my head,
but not rough sleeping.
But it was, I mean, homeless, and a portion of those are going to be rough sleeping.
Can you explain
right?
the difference, just for me, what the difference is? Rough sleeping versus homelessness?
Well, you can couch surf and shit, right? You can
Okay,
not
so
have a home.
just not have
You
a
can
home, but just
not
not
have
be
a
on the
place
street.
that you're.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Whereas rough sleeping is like being outdoors.
Is outside.
Gotcha.
But also, if you, it just kind of solidifies my belief, frankly, that if you worked for 15 years in a homeless charity, and you said you have interviewed hundreds, thousands, possibly tens of thousands, which would be very odd. It would be very difficult to interview 10,000. But
hundreds of rough sleepers, tens of thousands of young people about crime.
You've interviewed tens of thousands of. Okay, I mean, if
Hundreds
we just
of
do the
rough
math on,
sleepers is what he's saying.
if we do the math on that, it'd be impossible to interview tens of thousands of people in your lifetime. Really, to interview 10,000 people with a hello, give your name and say something back, that's gonna take you about 50 years, right? Just you can work that one out. But like, the idea that you've spent this much time with that many homeless people, and you say you've never met an LGBT homeless person in Greater Manchester, That is, like, statistically impossible. Unless you've like hit some kind of straight dude jackpot, right? Some of those people that you met would have been LGBT. Like statistically, it would be almost impossible for them not to be.
If you're black, you're a woman, you're LGBTQ, it would have been easier for me to get you off the streets because there's extra support and extra projects that will work with women, black people, ethnic minorities, gay people. So there's probably less chance of them being on the streets because there's more help and support for them initially. There's more projects specifically looking at those people, helping them.
I mean, there was literally none for me, and I know plenty of homeless young
only
gay
talking about
people.
Greater Manchester.
Yeah.
I only can talk about Greater Manchester.
That does seem to me like a bit of a cop-out. I can't believe, because you do say that an awful lot, and I can't believe that Greater Manchester is significantly different than the rest of the country. Like, so significantly different that there are no gay people on the street, for example. Greater Manchester is a huge area and a very big, with a very big city with a very big gay population. Right,
Vivian, last question, then we gotta let you go. I know. You want to stay all day, but we have other people in the waiting room. So go ahead.
Yeah, sure. You're running again. You're running for the third time now, correct? Second. It was the second. Okay. I'm just curious because, like, when Wick mentioned your name to me, I remembered it from somewhere, and I had to go look, and I was like, oh yeah, it's that guy. And I thought you were with the Reform Party. What happened?
I stood for Reform last time. I was never a member of Reform. Right. I stood for them because I wanted to stand, and they'd created their party the week I decided I wanted to stand. So it's like, oh, I'll stand for you because I don't know what I'm doing. This time round, I know better what I'm doing. And the feedback off people when I stood last time was, we don't want to vote for any parties, Nick. We're sick of them all. I thought, right, well, I won't be standing for a party again next time.
Okay, and you got something in the region of, what, 300 votes?
19,000.
Was it 19,000? Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It only worked out at 3%, so it's still rubbish.
Okay. You think you'll be successful this time?
If I had to put money on today, then no. I need two things to happen if I'm going to be successful.
No, you got the Wick. You got the Wick bump now. You'll make it.
This is the first one. I'm on here now, so I'm halfway there. Something unexpected has to happen to Andy Burnham. Big controversy, something out the blue. So something like that would have to win.
So I guess the ultimate question is, what's the point in running if you stand almost no chance of winning?
Because if you're not in the game, you don't win the game. And even if I don't win, let's say I come second, let's say I beat the Conservatives and I come second, that will change policy across the country. Conservatives, other parties will go, look what happened in Greater Manchester, that nobody came second. We need to take some of his policies and steal them. I'll take that as a win. I just want my country to improve. I don't want to be PM. I don't necessarily want to win the election. I just want people to take my policies and run with them. I'll take that as a win.
Okay. I wish we could have got to more. I think there's way more to get to.
We might have him on again if he wants to.
Cultural Marxism.
We can have a Britain panel. How about this? Where we can invite all the Brit people I know.
And especially trans rights. But hey, I hope you lose by a landslide, mate. See you around.
Bye-bye. Nina's never ever going to agree on many things.
Wick, before you bring on the next person, I had
please.
Kind of in a similar vein, some kind of questions on policy. So that I was curious as well, Nick, to get your perspective on. So you have a pretty strong free speech perspective, and you want to put in free speech legislation. I'm curious if you follow it all. I know you're not in the United States, but if you heard about, there's about like 600 now anti-trans bills that are being pushed. Some are passing, some of them are failing, and then being reattempted to pass. So some of these are bills like banning books that mention gay or trans people. Some of these are felony charges for providing gender affirming to care under people 26 years of age. So this isn't about children. This is about people 26 and under. Hosting drag shows redefines businesses as adult oriented, and guardians and teachers being able to override a student's pronouns, so being able to misgender students. I'm curious what you feel about, because
You're doing the table thing again. It's going to be picked up.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm just curious what your thoughts are on those.
Yeah. I can't answer all of them because some of them are specifically American, and I don't really know. But I can start with saying there's no such thing as trans people. They're mentally ill people. And what we need to do is we need to offer them support and care. And in England, it's called the NHS, National Health Service. We need to make sure they get the help they need to either overcome their dysphoria or to live with their dysphoria. Looking at drag shows are adult entertainment. Drag shows are not appropriate for children. If you're looking at, you said banning books, I'm presuming they're banned books in schools.
Yep.
Well, also there's many books not appropriate to be in schools. Pronouns, parents and teachers overriding children's desire to be called a certain pronoun. Well, of course, they're teachers, they're your parents. I might want to be called hilly billy silly. Don't mean anyone will have to call me that. Children are called children for a reason. It's because they're not adults. And that's why we have parents. Parents are there to look after and make sure their children are safe. Some parents do a great job, some parents do a terrible job. That's a given. The majority, so trans is really complicated. There's no such thing as a trans person. Trans is a collective noun that covers many, many different types of people.
Sure,
so it covers people with gender dysphoria, which is a mental health medical condition that's been recognised. Those people need help and support. We all get that. Then you've got middle-aged perverted men who want to put red miniskirts on and lipstick and high heels and prance around and call me Daisy. So we've got them. Then we've got middle-class white kids mainly who think it's trendy to create some new pronouns. And that we can go through sections and sections of people now who come under the umbrella trans.
So I'm curious, Wick, I don't want to take too long before we get to other callers, but just on one of those things,
please,
related to the book bans, that one does feel really out of place in terms of, maybe you don't think, I mean, I assume that you think gay people do exist. I don't know your views on.
Yeah, there's gay people.
Gay people exist, but not trans people. But I mean, these are book bans that. So I guess there's two parts. It's like, would you be okay with banning books that mention that gay people exist? I guess that's an easier one. I assume you would say no, right? Or
again, it depends what age we're looking at that and what the book's about. If the book was about two gay men having anal sex, I don't want that in schools.
Sure, but I mean, there are gay people. There are gay kids, right? And not every gay person is having sex all of the time, right? So there are books about gay people where they're not just having sex all the time, right?
The point you're trying to let me answer the question. I think you're trying to ask me. I think at schools, we need, and as societies, we need to be promoting the most positive lifestyles and relationships. We need to be promoting family. We need to be promoting marriage. We need to be promoting a man and a woman having children and raising a child. That doesn't mean we demonize other lifestyles and other lifestyle choices. And I may not agree with some of those lifestyle choices, but if you're over 18 in this country, none of my concern, as long as you don't break the law. But we should always be promoting the ideal and not always looking at every other opportunity or class that we can think of.
So, yeah.
Anything else? We do it. This poor guy's been waiting a
Okay.
while.
Yeah. There's a lot of people waiting.
Yeah.
I think we could have a whole other show.
Well, I want to also respect next time too, so we'll probably do 2 more and then we'll just cut it. So, here is one of our guests. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Yo, sorry for the wait. How you doing?
I understand. Viv goes on for a long time, and also Nick, you are. Oh man, you're saying so many bad things at once. I don't understand the consistency. Hold on. I thought I had my camera on. Okay, there we go. Nick, number one, I wouldn't vote for you just from hearing you talking about your platform, especially about the trans people. Mostly because there is an inconsistency where you're saying that after 18, you can live your life as you will. And you understand where I'm coming from as an American. I'm putting you in the camp of libertarian. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And from the framework of libertarianism, it's that, you can do whatever you want, just don't involve me. But as a mayor, you would be creating laws that would affect.
Laws.
The
mayors in UK can't create any laws. Only Parliament can create laws.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's no sort of. Oh, okay. So you wouldn't recognize trans people as a group in Greater Manchester then, because to you, they don't exist.
Oh, that was a bit hyperbolic of me saying trans people don't exist. There's people who do exist who identify as trans. So we have that category there. I would never treat anybody any different than anybody else. So a trans person in Greater Manchester, will they be able to access all the services, all the projects, all the tax funded things that anybody else can?
You just wouldn't play into their delusion.
Yes.
Don't you think that kind of is emblematic about how so many leftists right now are calling upon Israelis as settler colonials because they never actually settled that land. They never were there. I know you guys were talking about anti-Semitism. I'm just trying to kind of tie it together, how I see someone who is trying to ignore a group of people for saying who they are. But at the same time, we hear that from the left doing that exact same thing. And we call that a name. We call that anti-Semitic. So do you know? Do you hear what I'm saying?
No, so I'm not ignoring anybody. I am not refusing services to anybody. In fact, I actually said people with gender dysphoria need all the help and support that our tax-funded services can offer them.
Right, to correct their delusion to your worldview, that there's only men and women. Would I correct in that statement?
Not my view, science view, biology's view.
Okay, I understand, but we understand also that gender and sex are two different things, right?
No such thing as gender, doesn't exist.
So that's where
gender was made up.
I know. Wick, I don't know, where do we go from this? I mean, Wick, can I ask you, would you vote for Nick right here?
I am the moderator. I make no such.
Okay.
Okay. Look, I'm
Socrates?
taking moderators. Like
Sure,
all my guests are lovely. Okay, all my guests are the best. All my
hey.
callers are the best. Okay, that's my official position.
As one of them, I totally get it.
Okay, you again. We gotta try to speed this along.
I got you.
anything else?
If you want, since you called my name, I can do a 20-second steel man of why I use the word gender, why I recognize sex and gender as different. Right, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, up to at least something like 10,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, seemed like people were biologically pretty consistent. A human being born in one generation versus another, obviously differences with nutrition, whatever. But we recognize that people dress really differently in different societies, even today, in different societies throughout history. Our roles in the world are different. Maybe people have different kind of professions, different kind of lifestyles that do change a lot. And even throughout my, any person's lifespan, we recognize that a baby is not a man, right? But a baby is a male, right? You go from a baby to a boy to a man to an old man, something like that, and those carry different social roles. But your sex doesn't change, that your chromosomes don't change, things like that. So for me, I think there's utility in treating those as different things, just from a linguistic point of view.
Agricultural revolution was the worst thing that ever happened to humanity. We
Pursuit.
created civilizations.
Always a pleasure.
Gave us time to do this.
Pursuit.
All right.
We'll see you later. Last caller. Let's see if this one's let's see if the third time's a charm. We'll see. Boyd, what's up? You're live.
Hey, what's up?
You are super quiet. Can you just either turn up your mic or get closer to it? Something?
Last time I was super loud, I think.
Yeah, well, maybe I turned you down. Hold on. No, you're still at 100 for me. I'll turn you up a little bit. What you got for us, though? Try.
Try? It's nice to see you again, Socrates, by the way.
Hey.
But what are we still on Israel-Palestine or anti-Semitism?
Look, you called in. Do you have something for us?
Yeah, kind of.
Please.
I was curious because I've only seen the stream about halfway through, so I kind of left off where Nick was sort of talking about like reviving unity within a nation via war. You realize, Nick, that's only temporary, right? And it might actually cause more problems later down the line.
It wasn't the solution I was hoping we'd have. I was saying that's one solution that would bring a country together, is when there's an external threat, which is war. I also then said if aliens landed tomorrow, that would probably bring most of the world together as well.
To a certain extent, yeah. I'm not entirely sure that it would unite everybody permanently. But that's an interesting thought to explore.
I'm sure it wouldn't unite us forever, because we're tribal creatures, and at times of a lack of resources, trouble, war, danger, we will always split into tribes. Those tribes can be different. They can revolve around different things. They can revolve around nationality, religion, community. We have different tribes in different places, and we have a tribal creature. Maybe a couple of million years from now, maybe we'll breed out that tribalism. But at the moment, we're definitely a tribal creature.
Yeah. I did have a question for you, Wick.
I'm here.
If that's all right.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Are we starting to see some disparity between associating like critique with Israel as anti-Semitism?
Like, well, there's always I've always made the distinction that you can criticize Israel and not be anti-Semitic.
I think you're right, but I think there's a bit of indoctrination here in America around some of that stuff. Like, for example, we don't typically, at least I don't typically get called like Russophobic for critiquing Russia or the Russian government.
Though there was people at the outbreak of the Ukraine war who were calling on a deportation of Russian citizens in the Americas and things like that. That would be Russophobic. Absolutely, right? So if Ukraine-Russia war, they were talking about boycotting Russian-owned businesses. And again, people with no connection to the state, but simply were Russian of ethnicity or origin. I think that would be Russophobic, or whatever word you want to use for that. That is separate from critiques of Putin and his government. And I think we can draw the same distinction when it comes to Israel, right? People who are going around saying Netanyahu has to go, Israel's doing a horrible thing in Gaza or in the West Bank. That's a substantively different thing than going down, hitting an old man waving an Israeli flag in the head until he dies. Right? There's difference there of things,
so,
right?
Wait, I got a question about that one too. I'm glad you brought that one up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, please go
ahead. So I actually, and this is the weird part about this news cycle, is that we can't be given the truth. There might be like lies by omission with our journalism over here. But I saw that same article and I briefly looked at it. I didn't read the whole thing. I actually saw that someone wrote he died from a heart attack. Is that true?
Well, much like the person
could be
who
both.
died in Charlottesville died from a heart attack, it was because they got hit by the car, right? The car was the catalyst that caused the heart attack that caused them to die. So I have no doubt that this person died from a heart attack, but the catalyst of that event was getting hit in the head by a megaphone, right? That was the catalyzing thing. So yes, did a heart attack kill the person? Probably, if what you're saying is true. But using that to kind of disconnect the events is weird to me. Why would you do this? Why can't we just say, hey, the person who attacked that Jewish person waving the flag is probably responsible for his death?
I don't know. That was just the way it was reported. So I
Fair
just
enough.
noticed a discrepancy.
Well,
there. I did
the
look
way
into
these
that,
things are important, if I may, the way these things have been reported, also, again, any narrative that the Jews control the media is gone for me now. Like, there is no way the reporting on the Israel-Palestine issue could be seen as pro-Israeli. What with the New York Times and the Washington Post, countless other at least American, I can't speak for Britain, American newspapers and American media portraying this as just taking the most sensational things that they can to paint Israel in the worst light that they can. Now they do it on Gaza, the Hamas side as well, right? They do it in the Gazan side as well sometimes. But again, it's it is absolutely not one-sided. But is there anything else for me before I let you go?
No, I thought Socrates had something to say, but
Oh, go ahead, Socrates.
Yeah, I mean, I had just this, since you brought up kind of Russophobia and Russia-Ukraine war, it's interesting. I feel like I've mostly heard that from more conservative right-wing people in the United States, these kind of like claims of Russophobia from like Biden or something like that, which it always strikes me as very strange when it's like, okay, well, it was the McCarthy era, more right-wing hawkish people that were especially anti-Soviet, and were legitimately Russophobic in the sense that they thought that like cultural Marxism and all these like Soviet ideas were going to take over America, and we needed to kick out all the communists. It's interesting. The same thing is happening where it's the actual anti-Semites in America who are calling people anti-Semitic for critiquing Israel. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about Jewish space lasers. It was saying actually like unhinged anti-Semitic things. These are the people who are falsely accusing people of anti-Semitism. So something to think about.
It's a circus. It's a circus. It's a circus show. Okay, well, thank you for coming in, Void. I really appreciate you. And thank you both for being here. Thank you to Socrates, and thank you to Nick Buckley. We're going to let them say their goodbyes, but we're not ending the show because we have one more caller who wants to talk to me directly, but we cannot talk to them on Twitch. So we're going to have to end the show there and move to Kick or YouTube. Any last words from either of you before I let you go?
Thank you for inviting me on your show. It was nice.
I hope to
Really
have you
good
again.
discussion around the Palestine-Israel issue and anti-Semitism. You give me a lot to think about on that. Most of your callers probably won't be voting for me if they could. But hey, it's all about listening to different people's views. It's only when you listen to other people's views can you then work out, are your views correct? And do you need to learn something new? So I hope I've given many people different things to think about and a different perspective.
Absolutely. No, and we'd love to have you on again for something more Britain related, right? But we'll keep in touch. We'll keep in touch. Socrates, anything from you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Wick, for organizing this. To Nick for coming on and chatting. And yeah, I like that we could show have this display of two people who disagree on a lot, being able to civilly converse. I was really struck by your empathy when it comes to rough sleepers, and then it was a bit jarring to hear what felt to me like lack of empathy for other types of people. But maybe we could talk about that sometime in more depth and kind of get into it. That I think that could be really interesting. So this was really great. I really appreciate both of you.
No problem. Okay, I will see you guys later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, gang. Bye. Okay, gang. Mods in chat, get the link to my Kick chat, get the link to my YouTube, because we're moving over there, gang. We're gonna transition, okay? We're going to move over there, and we're gonna be talking to Omar. Omar, you've seen him on my show a few times. He made a few comments about me on other people's platforms, on other people's shows. And I want to give him a chance to be able to say his piece without fear of hitting the censors on Twitch and the moderation on Twitch and things like that. So I want him to be unleashed, if you will, to be able to say exactly what he thinks of me and what he thinks of my advocacy, etc. To be clear, he has implicated me as a Zionist shill. That the only reason I am taking the stances that I am is because I am sucking off the teat of destiny, and that I am being paid to do so. So we are going to be talking about that, and I've invited him on to talk to me directly about that. Because yeah, we'll have to see. But click those links. Twitch. We're ending Twitch right now. Go to Kick. Go to YouTube. We're about to let Twitch go. And yeah. Thanks again for coming on, and we will see you soon, because we're not ending the show again. While we wait, right, for our next guest to arrive, I want to talk about what we got coming up. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about we're going to be talking to 𝕾𝖍𝖎, who has some issues with some of my Palestinian Israeli takes as well. Do I know if he thinks I'm a Zionist shill? We'll find out, right? I don't think that's his critique, but we'll find out. And I'm happy to have him on, challenge me, and talk to me about my thoughts here. I think it's good to have our worldviews challenged. I think it's good to have our takes challenged, and we're going to be doing that. We're also tomorrow going to be talking to tomfoolery at a separate time, at a later time, because he had some issues with my poster takes that he wanted to bring up to me. I saw some of his review of it. I have some issues with how he has framed it, and so we're going to talk to him then. Thursday, we're going to be talking to Stardust, Mooncake, Catnip, and Mid, and we're going to be talking about the ways that women streamers have failed women. Damn, it's deep. It'll be fun. It'll be great. And then Friday, on the 16th, okay, or not the 6th, well, the 16th we have something, but Friday the 10th, to be clear, Friday the 10th, we are going to be talking to 𝕵𝖎𝖎, as well as Short Fat Otaku. And we are going to be going over, and they're going to be talking about all sorts of things. It'll be a fun conversation. They were enemies when it came to 𝕬𝖎𝖎. Can we bury the hatchet? Can we build a bridge? Can we strengthen a bond? And maybe people who were once at each other's throats can break bread and talk about substantive disagreements of the day. It will be a great time. Do I hate you in Pursuit of Knowledge? Why would I hate you? Of course not. So yeah, that will be fun. I'm killing time until Omar gets here. Omar, I saw you watching earlier. You DM'd me earlier. What you need to do is you need to jump backstage and come on and talk to me. I would love to have you. Not Sansel. Sansel, if you're still watching the stream, if you want to talk for a bit while we wait for Omar, by all means, jump on in. I would love to have you, right? Help me fill time, help me kill some time. Maybe give me your thoughts on some of the things that have been said recently on the Palestine-Israeli. Give me your thoughts on our friend Nick Buckley there and how you think that went. Yeah. To my audience, again, if you really like my content, support the channel. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Send me money. Or you can sub on Kick. You can sub on Twitch, right? We have actually memberships on YouTube, actually, that you can join. You can become an official Wicker on YouTube by giving me a YouTube membership, or even gifting some to your friends. It's all a great way to do it. Let's bring Sansel in, talk to him for a minute. Yeah, we are off Twitch, so I can actually talk to you. What's up?
How's it going, my dude?
Been a while.
It has been a hot second. 1 second. Let me get my camera for you.
Please do.
Start virtual camera. And the virtual camera should be... fuck. Which one should... I think it's... No, not window capture. Fuck. Okay, well, I'll just...
We get to
What-
we
what-
get
how
to
are
play
you doing?
Sansel technical support. Is that what we're doing here?
No, I got this. I got this. Okay, here we go. So how have you been, my guy?
Well, I can't see your camera, but fair.
Oh, you need it right now. You can't just like speak while I hit the button.
I could, but I want to see your your orbs. I want to see your eyes. I want to look into your soul as we talk and speak
Gotcha.
man to man, face to face, as you will.
Gotcha.
Not to some icon. No, I've been okay. It's been I will admit, this discourse, this event. I think it's disrespectful to call it a discourse. Let's call it an event.
Mhm.
After October 7th, I woke up to a few things that were happening in communities that I was involved with. I woke up to callousness that I did not know exist, right? And I have been wrestling with that, and wrestling with people who either celebrate the mass amounts of death that are happening either on the Israeli side or the Palestinian side, or people who are simply just spreading massive amounts of disinformation on this. And I have never seen so much disinformation put out by so many people than I have on this issue. It has been wild to me to watch the amount of lies, just straight up bald-faced lies. I had an event yesterday, in fact, on Twitter, of all places, right? Someone, 𝕾𝖍𝖙𝖘𝖍𝖔𝖜, to name names, posted an article and claimed that that article said that the IDF, since the start of the bombings, had only killed 10 Hamas members.
I saw this.
When
little
you
spat,
click on
yeah.
that link, you read that the IDF claims they have killed 10 Hamas brigade leaders. The bald-faced lie, the disgusting, despicable, inhumane lie, right, in order to bolster their side and make the enemy team look incompetent as worse as possible, right, offends me, right? It offends me on a deep level. You can criticize Israel without lying. And when you, and one of the reasons that this is a big deal is because it makes people take your actual realistic criticisms less seriously. No one believes you anymore. And it's very important when we criticize Netanyahu and Likud for the horrific crimes that it does do, right? That people believe us. And when you do shit like that, when you say, oh, only 10 Hamas members have been killed, and you fucking lie to my face, and then
I'm not going to believe you the next time.
Yes.
Essentially what you're talking about is like the little boy who cried wolf type thing, right?
yes, and then fucking 𝕝𝖏 himself acting like I was despicable for calling this out. Fuck him.
I think that I was listening to the very beginning of your stream with the I don't know what his name is, but the
Nick Buckley?
older gentleman, and he I probably would have a lot of disagreements with him in general, but there's one thing that people have started latching onto now that I think people like James Lindsay have pointed this out and has become widely known about like Marxist movements, like in general, or things that stem from Marxism, the critical theory type stuff, where you look at the oppressed and the oppressors. And I was saying this right before I jumped on. I think that the left has kind of blinded themselves and put themselves in a really bad position, both like intellectually and politically, because they're not able to look at anything except through that lens. And because they look at things exclusively through that lens, it kind of makes it to where they're not able to concede any points like, hey, you know, the Hamas does really bad things, and they are unjustified in those actions, right? They're kind of reticent to make those concessions because the Palestinian people, they're the oppressed and the Israelis are oppressors. And because we can look at it through that lens, any action against the oppressors is justified because oppressors equals just ontologically evil, right? But the issue with that is that when you look at things through like critical theory lens, right? When you look at it through that, you're supposed to look at both sides of the issue, understand why both sides would be saying the things that they do, right? And you try to find some sort of position in the middle that is like the truth, quote unquote, right? But nobody wants to do that with the oppressed oppressor thing anymore. They want to look at the oppressed and the oppressor, right? And they want to say, okay, well, let's listen to what the oppressed say, but the oppressors, well, they're just going to lie, or it's all going to be propaganda, and there's just like literally no reason. So we can just take all of like the bad faith or the misinformation statements out there and just simply just believe them or repeat them ad nauseum with no critical thought in it at all. And that's what's really bothersome for me in the past couple of days.
Hello?
Omar's here. You're free to stay on if you'd like, Sunsol, and talk with us. I'm not going to kick you out.
You can hear me?
I can. We can't see you yet.
Why is the guy said he couldn't hear me before? خلاص.
I don't know why he said he couldn't hear you. But we can hear you.
Why?
Okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
First of
damn,
all,
this
how are
motherfucker's got
you?
a cowboy hat on. Wait, hold on.
Fucking bro. What's up, man?
Are you from Texas?
No, from New York.
You are appropriating my fucking culture, you son of a bitch.
It's all right, man. I'm saying.
Right. You got to get some rhinestone boots to go with that, all right? Then you can be one of us.
I don't got the boots, but I like the hats. I got 2 hats.
All right, gotcha.
I got 'em
Okay,
as a
give me
gift.
one more second, gang. Well, I gotta make sure everything's.
Yeah, hold on. Oh, fuck.
Okay, 1 second. We can hear you. We can see you. So, I guess first things first, Omar. You said you were talking shit. You wanna tell me about that? You wanna say it to my face? What you were saying to some other streamers, to food shops and some other people?
Wait, am I acting as the moderator here?
Yes, you're the
No.
moderator.
Hold on. Let me fix my shit.
Take your time.
All right. Let me see how to use this shit. You thought, okay.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
All right.
Okay, give him a second. He's fixing his stuff. I just asked him to tell us what he had been saying on other streams. I'm curious what he wants to tell me.
So where do you have this on? Where do you have this on?
We're not on Twitch, so you can you let your fleek. There are still some rules, right? No nudity, don't whip your dick out or anything like that, right? But there's much more lax in moderation. So speak your truth, buddy. Go ahead. Tell me what you think.
Hold on, give me a second, okay?
Okay.
That was the most boring shit you did today. Those guys are brain dead, both of them. Especially the English one. The fuck was that?
Omar, I wouldn't talk, brother.
It's
As somebody who's taken your VODs and tried to edit them down, I gotta tell you, that's like watching paint dry, bro. It's
yeah, but
not the most entertaining fella yourself. You had to buy your YouTube channel, for example. So
yeah, no, I don't know. I'll tell you how I got it. I don't know why you're so jealous, man.
I'm not jealous of a
Okay.
having 2.5 million
But
subs doesn't mean anything if
we'll
you
get to
100
that.
views.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I want to
All right,
first though.
okay, I was trying to stream too, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Remember you taught me last time, but it's not
You
working.
should just.
What's the issue? Maybe I can help you.
No, it's all right. I'm not going to stream it. I'm just going to keep it, and I'm going to copy it off.
Sure, you can use the squad. Go for it.
Okay, let me just get out of here. Let me get out all the stuff out in front of me.
Okay, let me know when you're ready, and then I'll ask the question again, and we'll.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Why is Tinflix here? Is he involved in some capacity?
No, he just being a douchebag.
I've just got some questions. I'm the one who heard you say
No,
some
he just-
weird shit on
He
I
likes
just
me.
got questions, bro. What's the problem?
He just likes me.
I love you, Omar.
That's okay. He could fuck. What the fuck happened to the thing? Hold on, man.
Okay, but what the reason Tenflix is here is Tenflix is the one who overheard the thing. So when Omar tells me what was said, Tenflix is going to be here to say whether that was correct or not. Right? I don't know. I didn't personally hear you say this, Omar. I've been told this. So I want to see where the disparity is. That's what we're doing today. And we're going to talk about it, because if you did say what was reported, then we're going to hash this out. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, I got it. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on. Okay, you can see me. What's up?
Yeah, what's up? Go ahead.
I did say that. I think you're a bit biased. I've been following you for the last month. Every time I see your Twitter account, you seem to be finding these little niches of a lady got stabbed in Paris, or some Jewish guy dropped someplace. The issue here is not anti-Semitism or Islamophobia. It's, to be honest, you have not confirmed to the idea that 10,000 people are dead. I don't see you tweeting about that. I don't see talk about the 4,000 children that have been murdered in cold blood. I don't see anything like that. You know.
Well, I have tweeted out, and I can point you to tweets where I've condemned the IDF's bombing. I condemned the use of white phosphorus. I've also, if I may, I've condemned the strike recently on the refugee camp in no uncertain terms. Again, I have condemned Netanyahu on my stream live on air several times. I have, again, condemned any unnecessary killing of anyone in this case. I have condemned the barbarity, the bloodthirst on both sides.
I haven't seen any of that. I've been following your Twitter for the last month. You have not confirmed the idea that people are dying, or have shown even a photo of a fucking building being bombed. You even had a show the other night about some poster was being ripped up in New York, as if it was a fucking something to talk about, or was to do a whole show on, because some idiot started ripping photos of children, and you are ignoring that there are 4,000 children dead. I want you to
the 4,000 children dead.
Acknowledge that these children are died in cold blood.
Yep, that's horrific.
So do the Palestinians have the right to fight back or no?
Not by killing kids, but yes.
They haven't killed kids. You haven't shown me any kids. We showing you our kids.
What? Wait, what?
We haven't seen any kids.
There's
well, hold on,
evidence.
if I may.
Okay.
I just want to be clear what you're saying. You're saying that Hamas did not kill children in October 7th.
They did not kill children.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you why. I can explain to you.
Go ahead.
The floor is yours, man.
No, the whole idea that Hamas attacked a military compound outside Gaza, and they were there for 6 hours. This is the whole idea. I can't figure out that the IDF took 6 hours to help these people. The whole country is 2 hours from one end to the other. That's a very interesting thing that people should look at. When they came, they shot up everything. If you see the cars, they all burned down. Buildings were burned down. They can identify the dead. The Palestinian fighters, they don't have that. They have AK-47. The biggest weapon they have probably an M16, which you could call an AR-15 in the United States. So they didn't have that weapons to burn people alive, and that you cannot identify them, or burn a whole street. So the kind of whole street will burned up, because the Israeli soldiers have a weapon called the Hellfire. I think it's called the Hellfire missile. You understand?
So your assertion here, your claim, is that it wasn't Hamas that killed all those people, not most of them at least, that it was the Israelis who killed those people. I'm going to ask you to back that up with some evidence.
Well, I want you to back you up. Show me any children. Israel claimed that 40 children were beheaded, and they took it back. If they had any evidence,
made that claim.
Huh?
Nobody in Israel, like from the government, made that claim.
What are you talking about? Joe Biden said he saw the pictures. What are you talking about?
Joe Biden said that. You said Israel made that claim.
Well, the news came from Israel.
Right. Do you know how that news made its way around?
The whole idea is that they claimed, even 𝕵𝖔𝖎𝖙 sold some burnt, I don't know what it is. The whole idea, if Israel had any proof or evidence that these Palestinians killed children, they will have showed the whole world of these dead children. instead of just
Well,
taking.
there are videos that I saw on October 7th that people were posting to Twitter of, at least one family
Where
where it
are
was.
they? Where can you send it to me?
I could try and find it really quick, but
You can have to
yeah.
try. Children were
Well-
killed, and you have to try to find a video of children that were killed and murdered. And
Well, I'm not gonna
massacred.
lie, Omar. I don't like. This is our first time
The
talking,
Israeli
right?
army got nervous.
Well, hold on.
because-
Wait, I
hold
just
on,
want to
hold on,
like.
hold on, hold
I
on,
haven't
let me
even finished my claim, right?
Palestinian-
Like,
the
I'm chilling right now. I just want to have like a conversation.
Hold on, I know,
Your big
I-
beef is with Wick, right? I just want to finish
I don't
what I'm
have beef
saying.
with Wick. I don't have a beef with Wick. I just said a comment, and he just.
Wait a
Try to
minute.
do whatever.
You don't
Well,
have a
whatever
beef
the case,
with me?
Whatever the case is, I just want to finish my statement.
I don't
Right?
have no issue
Like
with you, no.
there were
I discussed
videos
his
that we could
destiny.
watch on fucking October 7th and 8th. I don't know if they're still up, and the reason I would have to find them is because I'm not gonna lie.
Why?
Videos of people like being murdered are
The
not
Israeli
like high on
government
my.
should put them out. You should go to the Israeli government website. If their children were murdered and massacred,
I wouldn't trust the Israeli website
well, the
by
Israeli
itself.
government
I
will
wouldn't
take-
trust the Israeli website
the
by
Israeli.
itself.
No, the Israeli government needs the propaganda. They're going to show it. They're going to show it because they need the propaganda.
Even if they put out videos of, even if they put out videos where they were shit saying this is how horrible this is, I would wait for there to be someone
Okay.
else confirming that
I'm
that's
calling a flag
true.
on display. I'm calling a flag on display, and I'm just going to state up. These are some facts. Okay, there are videos, and we will link them to you very shortly of the
I'm
atrocities
also getting
and pictures. Right?
some statement from someone who is Jewish that's saying it is against Jewish tradition to show the dead. I don't know if that's true or not, but like regardless, what I'm trying to say
if
is,
I may.
right, there are videos of like a grandmother and 3 children that they were waiting at a bus stop, and then the body cam of the fucking Hamas guy, right? They pull up, they mow them all down. You can see very clearly the fucking children drop like sacks of fucking
I'm not here to
potatoes.
defend. Okay, let's.
And then, wait, hold on,
Yeah,
really quick. And then, not only was this video put out there, which it could be misinformation, but immediately afterwards, people were going around geolocating a lot of the videos that were going on October 7th, and people found the exact bus stop. It was in Israel, right? It was near Gaza, and it was like confirmed in that way not to be from the Syrian war. It was confirmed in that way not to be from the wars in like Afghanistan or Pakistan. Right? This isn't just a random video, and there's no like other claims of people being murdered at a bus stop in Israel. I'm literally like making a pretty good point that you said that no children were killed, and I'm telling you that there are.
Hold on. There's 10,358 people dead, men, women, and children.
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
Hold on. 150,000 civilian buildings have been bombed. 50 United Nations schools have been bombed. No water. You're not allowed to drink. You're not allowed to eat. No electricity. No fuel.
Yep, that's stuff I've condemned.
This is like evil time when they used to do a siege on a fort, and they starve the people so they could come out. Because if you really have the enemy is Hamas. Israelis have the best special forces in the world. Could we agree on that? They could find them any place they want to. They know who they want, and they could get them. Right now, what they're doing is they're just bombing everything like cowards they are, because they don't want to fight face to face with the freedom fighters inside.
One of the reasons that Omar, that I push back hard against you is because I think what you're doing is you are minimizing the deaths of one group to promote the suffering of another. And I think that is a horrific thing. I condemn it in the strongest terms possible. It is gross. It is disgusting. When you say that there were no, or that Hamas did not commit the atrocities that they bragged about, that Hamas admits to. Hamas is like, yes, we did this. Again, I take them at their word. I take them at their word. I take them at the evidence that they have provided me. I've seen them. I've seen the dead bodies that they have paraded in the streets, chanting and cheering, right? I've seen them, right? They have claimed this. They've also claimed to have hundreds of hostages that they claim to have, that they did, that they took.
Hold on, Wick. This is never going to be convincing to
no one. Hold on.
I understand, but I'm saying this so we can get to the actual part of this show that I want to talk about.
If children were killed, we condemn it in the strongest terms.
Okay, beautiful.
Any innocent life, whether it's Jewish, Arab, Russian, Ukrainian, any life, that is killed and is a civilian life, that is a tragedy. It's like killing all humanity.
Beautiful.
If you kill an innocent life.
Based.
Can you
Then
agree on that?
let's talk about
I
then.
want to point out something really important here.
If you
we
will,
walked
but-
away from the claim that no children were killed by Hamas to well, if there were children that were killed by Hamas, well, now I'll condemn it. But before we were just pretending like it just didn't
I want
happen.
to get on with the show because I haven't seen any evidence from the Israeli government. So I'm going on with that.
Why would you trust the Israeli government?
Well, because that's their people.
I will show you the evidence.
Why would you not
from
trust
Hamas.
like third party, like international organizations?
Sansel,
saying, hey, this is.
I go to the source.
Sansel, I brought you on as moderator, but we're gonna move on.
I thought that was a joke. I can moderate.
Okay, we're gonna bring in the actual topic that I bring Omar on for. Omar, you said some shit on food shops. What did you call me on the food shops panel?
What did I call you?
It wasn't so much that you called him anything; it was that you made some like pretty strong claims about WhickTV being paid off by like.
I said that Destiny is definitely paid off.
I can send you the timestamp.
Hold on.
You definitely say WhickTV too.
Let me finish, man. Relax, you little fucking snitch. Get out of here, man. So the whole idea is that I did say that Destiny is definitely paid. Because 2 months ago, Destiny had a debate with Nick Fuentes in the Fresh and Fit. He didn't know shit about Israel or the Palestinian issue. All of a sudden, the fucking cockhole is a fucking expert and there. And second of all, I said, maybe.
We can listen to what you said.
Okay, say it. The whole thing. I said
we can listen. We can listen.
I'm telling you what I said. Maybe we got paid too. What's there? Because the way I
listen to it.
Oh, what's up?
Okay, well, so no, Sansel, don't definitely no. Okay, Tenflix, can you stream this? We'll share your screen and we'll watch it together. How's that?
Sure.
Please. And then we can all, again, start from a base, start with the same amount of facts. We can watch this together, see what you said, and then we'll move on from there. I understand, but we'll again, maybe you misremember. Let's find out. So yeah, share your screen. Everyone can watch this stream. And make sure the volume is on so the audience can see it and hear it. And we can hear what you have to say. Okay, let me know when you all are ready. Okay, play away.
I'm waiting for Omar to pop into the stream.
Omar, hit the watch stream button on the Discord.
I do it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you hit the watch stream. So we're all going to listen together. We're all going to hear. We're all going to watch. And we're going to see what you had to say. Okay?
I mean, I'm monetized, I guess, but like...
You're lucky.
I mean...
I'm the jealous one, by the way.
I guess I don't need 1,000. I mean, I don't have 1,000 right now. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, right now I'm like 5 away, 10 away, 3 away.
Like 104. 204.
Huh?
You're only 796. That's all you have.
796. Oh, nice. 4 more. Yep.
Yeah.
What?
So what's going on?
Okay, are you okay? Like, what's going on right now?
Well, I'm chilling. I'm gonna be honest with you. I got my own like man cave. I have my own room. The wifey is not allowed to come in. She just got to knock on the door and let me know she's coming.
Okay.
I got like my TVs. I'm watching the football games. I'm watching you on one screen. And one screen, I'm watching the Jets play. They're losing, the idiots. And I'm just relaxed. Had dinner, drinking water. I don't smoke. I don't drink. So I'm high on life, really. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So why did you want to talk to me so bad? I guess like you wanted.
No,
to talk
we was
to me
going to
for a
talk about
while,
the policy. Well, I was going to ask you to have me on your panels because me and Wick, I don't disagree. I disagree with him a lot now. I just don't like him. You know, I think he got paid. He got paid. Him and Destiny they all got paid.
Okay.
Let's
stop it. Let's
carry
stop
the line for the.
let
it go. The whole thing. Genocide is happening in Gaza. Yeah. I can't believe it. What is the Kennedy assassination?
I think he's just personally invested as well. You know what I mean? Like I don't think.
Is he Jewish?
Huh?
No, because what I noticed is
no, he's not fucking Jewish. Okay, stop.
No, hold on. Wick is very intelligent. When I talk to him, and I know he's a nice guy, and I think his heart is in the right place. But when I see him retweet, he goes to these niches Hold on. He goes to these niches. He goes looks for a story like in France, some Jewish lady got stabbed, maybe her ex-husband stabbed her, and he'll put it on. But he has never reposted anything on Gaza, on the death toll, on the children, on the 10,000 people that died.
Stop.
Yeah, he got paid. He got paid.
Okay, wait. Are you just here to complain? Is that all you're doing?
Okay,
Or are
I
you
think
gonna
we
engage
can.
with like any topic?
I think it would stop. We can close the stream here.
It's just interesting for somebody who is like so worried about intellectual dishonesty to like say that they've looked at your Twitter for the last month, they've never seen you condemn these actions, and then to make a very bold claim that you were paid. That's
so.
Who paid me? Who paid me and how much?
So, Wick, you needed two guys.
Hopefully, handsomely.
So we could have a conversation with.
No, he was there to provide the what you said.
Time to shut the fuck up now. I mean, the conversation.
Listen, dude, if you can't hang, you can't hang.
No,
I'm just curious what you were getting that from.
No, he's right. Tenflix, let me handle this. Right at this point, I'll bring you back in.
He invited me to have a conversation with him. And you
Omar,
were a douchebag. The other night you jumped me without any problem. I don't even know you when you were waiting to get on.
I think I had some questions to clarify.
What's the problem?
No, I'm asking you.
I'm
asking you.
Stop.
Both of you stop. Both of you stop, or I will stop you.
What is it?
Okay, Omar.
What is it?
Who paid me? You said I was paid. Who paid me?
I said I suspect, like many other influencers on TikTok, they were paid $5,000 to $2,000 each to talk good about Israel. That's it. I say, why will Wick, who is very brilliant and smart, I said it there, you heard it, we talk in all subjects and everything, but when it came to the Palestinian issue, he just closed up. All he does is retweet some fucking idiotic, what's that guy, Hinckley, that idiot.
Can you show me one tweet where I've retweeted Hinckley?
Well, when he put the fake bomb in it, that guy, what's his name? That idiot, what's his name? That communist guy, Hinckley, whatever it is, John Hinckley.
We're talking about Jackson Hinkle right now. This is crazy.
Yeah. He put
Can you show me where I've retweeted that?
Oh, look at your Twitter. I don't know how to do it here. Just go ahead. Let me go on Twitter. I saw it 2 days ago.
Please, by all means.
He had a picture of him showing fake from 2021.
Oh, are you talking about I retweeted a tweet where it showed that he was putting out misinformation? Sure, I've done that.
As that to try to discredit the whole Gaza issue. Jackson Hinckley doesn't speak for Gaza people.
But I've also retweeted misinformation that supports Israel.
He's an opportunist. He's just in there for the money.
No. I have retweeted misinformation. I have retweeted posts that show how pro-Israel propaganda has been used as misinformation and identifying it as misinformation. I regularly, when I see a debunked claim, whether it be on the Palestinian side or the Israeli side, I will retweet that to let my audience know that, hey, this bit of information that you may have seen floating around is not to be believed, and you should not believe it. And I will do that for pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli propaganda that happens to be misinformation. I will do it for both. This is not something where I am only one-sided.
All I want from you, Wick, is to be fair to the Palestinian cause. Forget about Hamas.
How am I being unfair to the Palestinian cause?
They are, but right now what Israel is doing, they're not killing Hamas. They're killing innocent people, women and children. Those guys are hiding in tunnels. They're probably eating. They have fuel. They have water. They have food. The only people who are suffering, if you want to do, because American TVs, they have a blackout on everything. Just go when you have time, put Al Jazeera Arabic live on YouTube and shut the voice because you don't speak Arabic and just watch the pictures what's going on all day inside Gaza.
That's all you have to do. I don't disagree.
Don't watch CNN.
Really quick, Omar, I have a quick question.
Legacy media is full of shit. They just take it inside. They're afraid of the AD or whatever. Just go to Al Jazeera English. They have English channel too.
Wait, hold on. Omar, do you think that the best way to consume information about a topic as complex as the Israeli-Palestinian... There's a lot of
There is no complicity. There's an occupation. You see, I hate when people do that. They try to
I can't even finish my question to you. How about this? Let me ask you this. Do you think that the best way to consume information to look at pictures on Al Jazeera without
Live.
any context as to what's going on?
No. That's what I'm saying. I told him to shut the. He doesn't need to understand what's going on.
I'm saying just the
all
pictures.
he has to do is shut the audio. It's not pictures, it's live video from Gaza live. If not, forget about that. If you want to see the bombing,
when we talk about video, we also talk about like the picture quality of the video. So I'm talking about the video. Is that all you need to know
don't put it on
without any additional context as to what's going on?
Got a strike.
Right?
Don't put it on the regular channel.
Now, part 2 of this question is: do you think that there is an information blackout on what's going on in Gaza by the American news media?
Yeah, you know why? They spend more time.
If I Google right now,
I'm talking about
Gaza.
I'm talking about the major
Gaza
network.
News. Yeah, I know. Like CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, Reuters, AP.
They are busy with Donald Trump. Donald Trump came in. Donald Trump came out.
So if I Google right now, Gaza News, if I Google Gaza News right now,
you don't need to. I watch.
No, I'm asking you. If I go on YouTube, and I look at their, if I look at their videos that they put out about Israel and Gaza, I'm almost done. But the only reason I'm talking longer is because you continue to interrupt me.
You would have been done so long ago, bro. We gave you 3 minutes to say absolutely nothing, and he's just asking the question.
Omar, I'm just asking you this: if I go onto YouTube or if I go onto Google and I look up Gaza News, am I going to not see anything? Am I going to see only things that are anti-Palestinian, or am I going to see some mixture of Israeli, pro-Israeli or pro-Palestinian stuff?
Finish? Can I talk?
That's it.
Okay, what I'm talking about is the major network. I'm a consumer of MSNBC.
That's a major network. What is a major network to you?
Cable news, right? The four.
MSNBC is literally cable news. What does CNN stand for? Cable News Network. I'm talking
about these channels. Let me finish my conversation. Yeah. What's wrong with you? What are we in court?
Well, we're just pointing out that there's like a weird contradiction.
What I'm saying is that I watch. I'm a major consumer of MSNBC. I watch a little CNN. Fox News, I don't watch too much. When I watch MSNBC, where they spend 10 minutes talking about anti-Semitism, or they spend like a whole hour talking about Donald Trump and his kids, and sometimes they don't have nothing of what's going on. Or if they bring a segment, they never bring a Palestinian to talk about the Palestinian side. They bring me an IDF general or a spokesman from the Israeli government, or former ambassador from Israel, or an ambassador from Israel, or an ambassador to the United Nations from Israel. You never give us the Palestinian ambassador. Mahdi Hassan, what? He was sidelined. He's not the ambassador. He was sidelined for 3 weeks. Him, Ayman, and Ali.
Sidelined.
They were sidelined until they got a big blowback from everybody. They put him back on.
They rotate through hosts on that show all the time.
No, he has his own show on Peacock. They took him off, man. Come on, stop the lies, man.
No, hold on. I didn't understand what you just said there. They took him off his own show on what?
Ayman had a show on the weekend. Ali 𝕾𝖎 had a show on the weekend. What's his name? Mahdi Hassan had it on MSNBC on Sundays, and he had it almost, I think, every week on the Peacock. They were sidelined for 4 weeks until they had a big blowback from the community, from their viewers. They said, "What are you doing? You can't silence these guys."
That's not true.
Omar,
this is a problem. That's just not true, right? We can look it up. We can test this out. Oh, did MSNBC sideline Ali 𝕾𝖎? Obviously not, right?
I watched the show. I'm a fan of their programs. They were sidelined.
Okay, what evidence do you have that they've been sidelined?
They was for 3 weeks. They didn't do a show, their own show. Ali 𝕾𝖎 was just talking from Tel Aviv. That's it. They didn't even tweet when people were saying, "Oh, they were sidelined." Mahdi Hassan and the other didn't even tweet to defend MSNBC.
But what you have to do is prove that they, again, took his show off because he was Palestinian or pro-Palestinian or anything like that. Because what MSNBC is saying, is vehemently denying this and saying that the changes in the lineup were coincidental. So again, unless you have evidence, right, so that because he was pro-Palestinian or Arabic or anything like that.
They're professionals. They're not anything, because the fucking guy from the ADL went to. So hold on, he went to Morning Joe show and he said, "What's going on with NBC? I love this station, like the mafia. You got a nice restaurant here. I hope nothing happens to it." Is Hamas writing everything for the anchors? As soon as he says that, the guys were sidelined. Look at him.
Oh, so there
since
was
October
at least
7th,
at some point.
Since October 7th, 𝕵𝖎𝖎 has been on air 39 times, and this report, right, is not from today, right? It's from
he was
the week
he
after.
was on his own
He
show.
was on air 39 times, and 𝕵𝖎𝖎 was 15 times since October 7th.
I'm going to tell you why.
And this report was October 16th.
They were contributors. They were just contributors. They didn't have their shows. They didn't have their own shows. Their shows were sidelined for 2-3 weeks. They did come.
What did they show instead?
They came. They had other guests. They had Simone, the bald-headed black lady, and they had everybody. And the other one didn't have it at all. And
Was it, what was the reason for it?
𝕵𝖎𝖎 was in Tel Aviv when he went there.
What was their stated reason?
Hold on. And A-Man was coming on just as a contributor, just to asking questions. What do you think A-Man was going to have? And not his own show. He was just part of, like anybody else, as part of a segment. That's all. I'm not here to argue the policy of MSNBC. I'm here to say that sometimes mass media does. I'm going to tell you what's going on in the United States. Those days are over when they used to put a wool over the American people's eyes. The only people who have Israel's back right now is the corporate media and the politician who feed off AIPAC. The normal American, you saw the protests. There were more than almost 1 million people in Washington. They would demonstrate in every city in the United States against the war in Gaza. They would demonstrate in London, all over the world by the millions. That means the new generation knows is a problem.
Recent polling done by the NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll shows that overall, 65% of Americans publicly support Israel, and only 8% publicly criticize Israel.
They're calling the same old people they call all the time. They're not calling 20-year-olds.
No, they have this broken down by generation, right? So Gen Z, millennials, only 48% support, while 12% condemn. Gen X is 63% to 10%. Baby boomers are 83% to 3%, and silent, the greatest generation, 86% to, it doesn't even look like a single percent that condemn. And that's again my problem with you, Amar, and I have beef with you because, again, to try to paint me out as some kind of Zionist shill, to say that I've been paid off by some shadowy organization apparently that gives me money. I wish there was. Like, I wish there was some shadowy organization funneling money into me. It's not. I've lost money for my takes. No. Stop. Let me be clear, because this is important. Not only have I lost money for my stances here, I have lost viewers, I have lost revenue streams, I've lost opportunities,
Why?
I have burned bridges. So again, to suggest,
what did you do?
To suggest that the stances that I am taking are a result of me being paid off or grifting is not only
positions that you were saying
offensive to me,
what have
but
you done?
also,
what have you done that you lost all this stuff?
What I have done, I have called Hamas horrific terrorists. I have said that you should not be pulling off posters of kidnapped kids, whether they be Palestinian or Israeli.
I agree with you. There's idiots. I agree with you. Why will you lose a viewer?
Okay, then. So the reason that I am offended and I have an issue with you is because I have taken personal hits for my stance, and you are out there spreading conspiracy theories and lies about me personally having been paid in order to take the stances I have. And that's just the opposite of true. I think that's gross wrong. You didn't even talk to me about this in private, right? You just decided to go on other people's shows and talk shit.
I did talk to you. I said
you've never in private claimed that. In fact, in DMs that we had today, you're saying that you didn't say what we all just heard you say. You lied to me in private. You're lying to me in public. Why should anyone trust you?
What did I lie? I didn't say that. What did I say?
You went on a panel and you made a strong claim that he'd been paid off along with Destiny.
I didn't lie. I did say. I said that Destiny did that. I said Destiny got it, and probably him.
Like both of them. You said WhickTV and Destiny.
I never thought that. The first time when you DM'd me last night, I thought you was Tom foolery. Remember?
Why would just out of curiosity, if you didn't mention Wick, why would food shops like blow up on you for like? Is this just your come complain about Wick thing? Like she literally thought you were only there to cry.
Doesn't make any sense. What did she blow up on? What did she say?
I just told you. We just watched it. Also,
that was it. First of all, I don't know who the fuck you are. I think you're on my dick or something. Get the fuck off it. That's first of all. I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know you. You don't know me. So let's keep it like that.
Okay, but could you respond to the thing that I asked you? I don't care about knowing you. That doesn't matter to me.
If you have any personal,
just respond to the thing that I asked you. Whatever. I don't care. You can keep doing this thing. I don't care. I'm not going to listen to any of it.
Wait. First of all, I did not. First of all, I'm not scared of you. So I'm going to tell you, fuck you to your face. I'm not going to say
This isn't to my face.
Hold on, not you. I'm talking about Wick. I'm fucking Wick right now. First of all, I'm not scared of you or of any fucking body. I'm going to hide it like I'm scared. I would not say it in public if I was scared. And I did not deny it. First of all, I thought you was tomfoolery when you called because I mentioned his name too. So the whole idea, I actually mentioned mostly Destiny. Actually, I said,
here's what you said. You said, I thought you were tomfoolery. Yeah, I said it. You want tomorrow? I think Destiny got paid and you are just following him. Yeah, I said your name and I did mention Destiny. Again.
So what is that? I said that I did mention your name.
Yes, but you said that I was just following Destiny. That's fundamentally different than what you said on Food Chip stream that we all just heard.
Okay, hold on. Wick, you hear me?
I hear you.
I really think you're full of shit and you're carrying water for the Israeli position.
You can think that all you want.
In your own channel. Is that good?
You can think that all you want. It's a free country, and I'll allow you to think that. That's true.
You. Omar, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If I could provide to you a tweet from Wick that was explicitly like condemning the actions of.
I'm going to do a whole show on his tweets.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to do a whole video on his tweets, and we're going to go.
Okay, but like but you're saying that he doesn't like ever condemn anything that the IDF does.
One time, maybe.
Only one time. Okay, so we're gonna go back to one time.
He's always looking for this.
If I could find you more than one time, would you change your stance on what his interaction with this has been?
Well, I think maybe 80% of. I'm going to tell you why I was surprised. Wick is not a bad guy. I'm going to tell you why. Wick gave me the opportunity to come. We did a show a couple of times, right, Wick? I came on this panel, said a lot of crazy shit, and he still had me on. And I said it even to Food Stamp, whatever his name is. I told him he's a nice guy. He's an intelligent guy. But I'm worried maybe he's paid because a lot of people are paid on Twitter, and they have showed the emails. You understand? So what you laughing for, man?
You said food stamps and not food shops. I thought that food stamps was very funny.
Oh, Wick called her that. That's what I'm just reminding you. He used to call her that, right? Wick?
I still call her that. Food stamp.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's really funny. I'm going to start using that too.
It's an inside joke. No,
that's fine. That's fine. I just
so the whole idea is that, do I think Wick is an idiot? No. Do I think he's culturally intelligent? Yes. Do I think he knows right from wrong? Yes. But I was hoping...
But do you think he's a paid shill?
Hold on. I was hoping he will open his influence and show that 10,000 dead. You haven't mentioned that. 10,300 people dead.
On this stream.
Well, if you have so much respect for him. Okay, here's my thing. Because I don't have very much time left to stream.
Wait. Okay, hold on. I want to apologize to you if you were hurt. Maybe I did say...
I don't want your apology. What I want you to do is stop lying about me to other people. That's all I want you to do.
I just spoke to Food Stamp. That's all. One time. I'm not.
Yeah, but that's a live stream. It's not like you were in a private call with food shops. I found out about this because you did it on a public stream.
Leve, you like me, don't you?
No, I think you're a fucking moron. I'm pushing back on it, and like your only defense to any of the things that I've said to you is like, this guy's on my dick. Yeah, and now defend yourself.
I don't know him, and he keeps on fucking jumping on my dick. Get off my dick. Get off this dick of mine. Okay, get it all. Even the other day when I finished with your show, Wick, him and the other guy, he just started fucking. Oh, you got 2 million. You bought him. You did this. You had this.
This is weird.
I said, listen, I don't know who are you. I don't even know
handle those. You are. Like you can't handle this now. That's fine.
I could handle all of you. What the fuck?
You think really? Because like you're the only thing that you can't answer any of my questions. You have to answer with some weird posture.
Sansol has to go soon. Sansol has to go soon. So Sansol has a question. Sansol wants to ask that question before he has to go. Sansol, ask your question, and then I wanna move 11 off for a minute, and I want to speak to you one-on-one for just a moment, Omar, just a moment, and then we're gonna let you go too. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to engage with something, just a quick back and forth. All right, we'll try and interrupt each other the least amount as possible so that I can get this out.
The whole show.
Well, yeah, but I'm not here for long, so you guys can have all the rest of the show to do what y'all need to do. But I just want to ask, okay, so my general opinion, right, is that the IDF has lots of stuff that we can condemn them for. Like you said earlier, the blockade of food and fuel and water to Gaza is no.
Still until now, yeah, nothing.
What,
trucks.
Sorry. Sorry. I couldn't understand you because you're talking over me, and when I'm talking and you're talking, it makes it very hard to understand what you're saying, right? So, yeah, I think that all of that is absolutely true, and I think that
evil.
I would, yeah,
it is.
I think that there's. I don't like using the word evil for a lot of things.
Medieval tactics.
Medieval. No, I don't think it's medieval, but
do you usually you're gonna prevent war?
I don't want to like fight about the word medieval. What I want to ask is, even if I hold these positions, which we both agree on, do you think that I would be a Zionist shill to say that there probably is no path forward to peace without getting rid of Hamas? That Israel does need to fight in Gaza to remove Hamas.
Okay, when you finish, I answer you.
Yeah. The question is, would I be a Zionist shill to say, while the IDF does bad things and they need to be reined in from some of the actions that they take, Hamas still needs to go, and Israel has no other option but to respond with military force?
Okay, hold on. Okay, so Hamas is the product of the occupation. If there's no occupation, there needs to be any Hamas. You see, the problem is when you go to a doctor, you always say, "Oh, I got a headache. I'm nauseated. I throw up," and you say, "Oh, maybe your appendix is hurting." You look for the disease and you cure the disease. The disease here is the occupation. I don't know why it's so complex. Get the fuck off their land, and that's it. And build a wall. Everybody goes home, and that's it.
I don't necessarily even disagree with that. I don't necessarily disagree with that, right? But here's
Hamas is the product of the occupation. They don't need to be there. If there's no occupation,
really quick, because I don't have very much time. We'll just do a quick back and forth.
Because
while I can absolutely agree with parts of that.
I answered you right.
You did. Right. Now my question is, like, while we can like accept that, like, obviously there's probably not going to be very many, extremist groups that pop out of places that have high standards of living. We can also look at the fact that in the past, the things that kind of set off this whole thing were not extremist groups who were under occupation, right? Like in 48 and 67, right? And the reason why they were under occupation is because of aggression that happened towards Israel. Like, it is a two-way street that is not easy to just like say one person's evil and one person's good, right? I think that the occupation does eventually need to end, but a lot of the reason that there was an occupation in the first place was because there were security concerns that Hamas absolutely legitimized and helped cement the Likud party in Israel.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
Hamas is the product of the far-right government of Israel. It was created.
And the far-right government of Israel is also the product of Hamas.
Can I talk?
I'm agreeing with you, but there's
hundreds
a second part to it.
Hold on. Hundreds of $1 million was streamed from Netanyahu or from Tel Aviv to Hamas under the idea that if we create the monster Hamas, we will weaken the government of Abbas in the West Bank. You have a government. You have a Palestinian government that recognizes Israel's right to exist in peace as a neighbor. What Netanyahu did is he sidelined that government. They haven't spoke to the president of Palestine since 2014. That's how fucking.
Netanyahu's a bad motherfucker. He's not a good person.
That's what he's doing. He's the problem is right now we're dealing with the Frankenstein that Netanyahu helped create. You guys got to look inside. You have a government.
When did Netanyahu get elected to power?
He's been there almost all his life, since 2005. He's
a
dictator.
What happened between 2000 and 2005 that pushed people in Israel, who again had a leftist government, and then pushed it right to elect Netanyahu? What event between 2000 and 2005 happened or occurred that pushed people to the right to Netanyahu?
The people, they had a good prime minister. His name, I think, was 𝕖𝐻 Rabin. He was serious about making peace with the Palestinians. He spoke about
what happened between 2000 and 2005?
He was assassinated.
He was. But even after he was assassinated, in 2000, leftists were elected to govern, or at least left-leaning. Let's not say leftist, but a left-leaning on the issue of ending the settlements, on the issue of ending the occupation, right, to fulfill the Oslo Accords. They won election in 2000. And then what happened?
Since the Oslo Accord, Israel has settled 700,000 Jews.
What
Hold
happened? You
on,
got to
hold on.
answer
You're
my
not answering the
question.
question.
What
This is the
happened
question.
between
This is the
2000
problem.
and
I'm telling you,
2005
I'm
that
telling you what
pushed
happened.
people to again vote for Netanyahu and a far right leader who we all agree is
Right
crazy
wing,
and evil?
you have to understand that Israeli politics.
I'll just tell you,
Hold on,
it
the old
was
guard, hold on, the old
140 suicide bombers, martyrdom operations from a Hamas-like organization
yeah,
that
you know
drove
those people.
people into the
Don't
arms.
you notice? Don't you notice? Nobody blows himself up no more. Those are ISIS crazy motherfuckers. They're
Why do
not.
you think that
They're
is?
gonna go to hell. They're gonna go to hell. I mean, under the religion of Islam, those, you know, ISIS. We could have a whole show on it.
The reason that they don't blow themselves up on the
no,
streets
I
of
think
Tel Aviv
ISIS-
anymore is because
I
it's
think-
way
I
harder
think
for them to
ISIS-
do that, and it's
No,
way
no, no,
easier for them
they
to
could
build
do it.
rockets.
They could do it.
I just want to say really quick, just to
million
Wick's point, and then I gotta
Palestinians
go.
that
Yeah, I agree. There are 2 million Palestinians within
talk,
Israel,
Wick,
but
Wick?
I need to go really quick. I just want to like point this out to Wick's point, right, and then he can carry on. The fact that you're pointing out, like, well, this is what happens when people are radicalized because they were living under, you know,
Hey,
XYZ
let me
thing.
explain,
But
man.
that goes two ways,
I
right?
agree with Wick. I agree with
Right.
Wick. But
Right.
But the
and
problem-
the far right party coming into power,
But
right?
you have the alternative. You got to deal with the people who wants to make peace. Abbas recognizes Israel. You have to
The
strengthen.
people of Israel
Hold
were
on, hold on,
probably
hold
too
on.
freaked out by Abbas,
they're not. They're
formerly
freaked
being
out now.
like a
Look
terrorist
what-
with
look
the
what they're doing
PLO,
right now.
to trust anything that he has to say. They have a bunch of fucking bus bombings and shit going on in their cities. They're probably
but
really freaked out by
The
what's going on.
Palestinian, you just looking for
Yeah?
excuses. You just
It's not an excuse.
This
This is
straw man
what,
attack that you just doing
literally
right
what
now.
happened.
You
This
ran
is just
back
what
to
happened.
a few minutes ago. You ran back to 1948. I had to pull you back to the.
Well, I'm just
census.
explaining that
What
like
I'm
there
saying is
no
that
one side is
right
like
now-
at
right
fault
now- hold on,
100%
hold on.
for every
Right
bad thing that's
now-
happened.
Right now, we have the alternative. If we get rid of Hamas, all we have to do is just strengthen the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. Get
That's
rid
what's
of the
going to have to
settled-
happen after
Hold on,
Hamas
hold
is
on, hold
gone.
on.
Yes,
They're
you're
not
right.
gonna-
I'm
they're
agreeing
not
with
gonna-
you.
Let me finish. Right now, the settlers have killed almost 200. There's no Hamas in the West Bank. How come there's more than 250 dead Palestinian farmers? They've taken over land right now. They just
There
took over.
is Hamas
the
in the West Bank,
Bedouins-
but they don't rule the West Bank.
I'm saying they have no issue with them. I'm saying right now, as though the shit is going on in Gaza, they're even robbing the Bedouins of their village. You know, the Bedouins are the most loyal Arabs
There's
to the
almost.
Israeli government.
I just want to say,
They
there's
are
almost
Israel.
nothing that Israel does in the West Bank that is justifiable. Okay.
Everybody's doing it right now. That's what.
Yeah,
That's the
well,
problem.
we don't have a problem
literally agreeing
condemning
with you.
that.
Why are you like yelling at me?
No, stop,
Like, I'm agreeing with you on that part.
Sansel,
Okay, well,
I love you.
also want to say that I gotta go.
Okay, see you later, Sansel.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming by.
We
Omar,
can have a show.
I agree
Yeah.
with you. I agree with you. There are things that we can point to that Israel has done and is doing now, today, right? This second, that is horrific, a war crime, condemnable. Netanyahu, the Likud, other leadership in Israel should absolutely be held to account for it. I've never said anything other than that. From the day one, from October 7th itself, this is what I have said over and over and over again on stream, on tweets. We can pull them up if you want. You can go over every single one, and I hope you will, honestly. But we cannot forget, right? We cannot forget at the same time that there are terrible, terrible people in Hamas that are exacerbating this, that are making it worse.
Okay. A month ago, somebody accused you of Islamophobia, right? Remember?
Yep.
Who defended you?
Did you defend me? Fair enough.
Of course.
Then,
I defended
but that doesn't. This isn't scales. This isn't scales. Defending me in that does not excuse you going onto other people's streams and accusing me of being a shill, a grifter, and being dishonest about this. And I take that to be an issue.
Okay, we're gonna go round and round.
We are. So we're gonna end this quick because you're gonna give us a closing statement, and then we're gonna your last words, and then we're gonna move on to something else. Give me your last words. Go ahead.
For me or 11?
You.
Okay. The whole issue here is we're not gonna solve the Palestinian issue. Not me, not you, because it could be solvable, but it's not in our hands. The whole reason is that I just want you tonight, when you finish talking, just go on YouTube, Al Jazeera English or Al Jazeera Arabic. You don't have to understand Arabic, and just shut off the mute it so you don't have to, and just watch the bombing. It is like fucking hell. The skyline of Gaza. I mean, hell on earth. Kids can't imagine the trauma on children who's going to survive. They're going to remember 9/11. We had people who are traumatized in New York until today. And all that
It's
stuff.
terrible.
I mean, these children and these people will grow up. One of them, their father got killed, or brother, or cousin.
It's horrific.
These people have vengeance in their mind, and you know that, and I know that. So either they have to solve and give them their state so they could get out of there and let them deal with each other. If not, it's just going to continue a cycle. Remember, Gaza is sealed, and they have all these weapons. How the fuck did they get in? Sometimes you got to ask yourself these questions. How the hell these rockets, these weapons got in? And it's sealed. They're not even a nail is supposed to go in without the permission of Israel. This is the whole issue. There's something to talk about. Why it was so easy to overcome the military complex outside Gaza. Why did it take the IDF 6 hours to come and help the people who were being massacred, if you want to say massacred, by Hamas? There's a lot of questions that need to be asked. It's a lot of conspiracies. I don't want to get into that. But Netanyahu was in trouble. Israel was almost on the verge of a civil war. They had 1 million people come out every night because he was trying to power grab the Supreme Court. You probably read into that. I mean, I'm sure you all read Rick. Quick. I'm calling you quick. All right. Anyway, I'm going to be like a gentleman because I got the hat. I got a fucking Texas hat on. I'm going to apologize to you. If your feelings were hurt, I apologize.
I don't care about my feelings.
No. I'm going to apologize in front of everybody. I'm a man. Not I'm scared or anything.
I'm not threatening you.
Maybe there was I'm not scared. You could threaten me all day.
No.
I'm a man's man. Trust me. I'm not scared of that. I come from a tough neighborhood. What I'm saying to you is that maybe I misunderstood. It is your right to do whatever you want. I'm not here to tell you how to think or how to tweet, how to that. I just thought that I thought I was part of your group or part of your orbit. So I said, why is Wick doing that? Why is he? I mean, he's not. I mean, the people are dying. You have to understand. I'm an Arab, and when I see Arab children die, I have a different feeling than you. When I see them, when I see Arab women cry, I have a different feeling than you do, because there is something that is different. So when I see them on TV, crying, getting their children out of buildings, bombed, they can't eat, no water, no food, no fuel. Fuck you, Netanyahu. This is the whole idea. And what do? Joe Biden goes and shakes hands with him. He sends 2 aircraft carriers and a nuclear submarine. And we were mad at Putin because Putin said that he put weapon in Belarus. You understand? That's why Ukraine is going to lose the war because of Gaza. Because we have nothing to stand on. Because he used to bomb one building. We used to go crazy, all of us. Oh, he's bombing the kids. All right.
Thank you for coming on. But, we will talk to you. And I'll see you later.
11, you're a pussy. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? How do you think that went?
Look, I think it's pretty clear, right? And people could judge me on my words, right? They can judge me on my words. I haven't been private about this. I haven't been secret about this. I haven't hidden anything. I haven't hidden my views. I haven't been silent on this. In fact, a lot of people are mad that I talk about this so much, right? Because it ranges from whether or not they're bored to whether they care about my mental health to all sorts of reasons they don't want me to talk about this, right? But at the end of the day, to act to deceive people by saying in public that I am some kind of grifter or shill. And I've heard tomfoolery do this, and we're going to talk to tomfoolery about this tomorrow because, again, he and some of his audience have claimed that the only reason I'm taking this stance is because Lex Friedman is paying me. They had a very specific person that they said was paying me money to make these stances, Lex Friedman. And so, obviously, because I was getting attention from Lex Friedman, that I would be taking these stances. The conspiratorial nature of this, the desperation to paint what I find, and maybe you can correct me, right? Fairly reasonable stances. You can disagree on them, but I don't think I've been crazy here. I don't think I've been bloodthirsty. It's telling. I think people can see it. I think people should see it. And I think that the lies being spread about me from Omar, from President Sunday, from others, right, are despicable, disgusting. And if they want to talk about it, they're more than free to reach out and we can talk about it. Because it's just fucking wrong. And it's very easy to show that it's wrong. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
So on your shit more generally, I think that my take is that there have been like snafus, and I think you would agree with that. There have been moments where like you've been a little emotionally invested, and like there have been slip ups. And I think that if I were to judge you on like just those moments, then I think that I can start to rationalize maybe some of that pushback. But I think when I take like your stance here as a whole, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like completely fucking insane. And then in so much as Omar is concerned, I think that guy is just like a massive coward. He like wouldn't. I mean, he wouldn't even admit to doing it. We had to like sit through and watch a video of him doing it, and then even there, he was like a little fucking iffy about it. I don't know. I gotta imagine that like a dude like that doesn't really have a ton to like add to conversations more generally. And quite frankly, from like a channel standpoint, offers basically zero value. So I just don't understand like where the benefit is in engaging with him, unless it's specifically to bring him in to dunk on him for saying stupid shit like this.
I think, yeah, if someone calls me out publicly, I want to talk to them publicly. I think that's a fair thing for me to ask of the people who are talking shit. And speaking of talking shit, should we bring in food shops for a moment?
Sure.
Let's bring on food shops for a moment. Food stamps here. Food stamps.
Hello. How are you?
What do you have to say?
Yeah. I just want to say that did you actually watch the whole thing, Wick?
The whole thing? I saw the clip, right? Where he called me because he, again, the issue I had with him was that he was coming on your show and claiming that I was being paid to make these statements, that I was a shill, and that I was being one-sided.
That's just a few times throughout that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say that I won't be here for long. I just want to say that for the entire conversation or debate, I just basically shut it down as fast as possible.
I have no issue with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you.
Yeah. That's just
I think you were pretty fair with
it
it for what it's worth. I think that he was trying to kind of railroady, and then at some point you even point out like, hey, this isn't just a complaint about Wick stream. Yeah, so I think that you handled it fine.
I never listen, as I always had more of like, I can go off if I wanted to on, how you've been handling yourself for the past few days, Wick. But the thing is, I'm fair-minded, and when I saw Omar go off,
I don't think you are, but fair enough. Go ahead.
But when I saw, why not?
Well, that statement, how I've been handling myself for the past few days, fair enough. I think that indicates that you have a bias towards me and how I've been behaving, right? That you have not only criticisms of it, but I think it's unfair criticism, unsubstantiated criticisms. I think that you don't like that I talk about it so much in such a passionate way. And maybe I'm wrong. If you can correct me, I'm more than willing to be wrong on this. This is not a hill I will die on, but that is the impression that I've gotten from all your engagement. The engagement that you give me in tweets and DMs, and also not DMs, but when you tag me on Discord, right? Yeah. And things like that, is to shut up, stop talking about this, take a break. And I think that that kind of just trying to sit me down and shut me up, whether your intentions are good or not, I think that indicates not the opposite of a fair-minded kind of critique on this. I don't think we should be silencing other people.
Sure thing. Do you think that
like I said, no beef with you though. I mean, that's just your opinion.
Yeah, sure. Do you think that my only desire is to silence you on
Oh no, you probably have a lot of reasons for it. You could say, "Oh, your mental health's bad." I don't actually know because I don't know you very well. But yeah, regardless of why, it's the action itself that is an issue for me. So.
Sure. I guess I just want to make myself clear is that you are allowed to talk about in my opinion, is that there's no problem with talking about the posters, but it shouldn't be where your discourse begins and ends. And that's literally my entire crutch. That's
Sure,
it.
good thing I
But
haven't
when it
talked
comes
about
to
it at all
Omar,
today.
but when it comes to which is good.
Good thing I
think
didn't
that's
talk
good.
about it all
Yeah.
yesterday. Good thing I didn't talk
Which is
about
good.
like
Yeah.
again. There's plenty of
which is
places
good.
where I haven't
Which is
talked about
good.
it.
Which is good. Which is why I haven't been talking about it either. You know what I mean?
You brought it up just now.
Yeah, which is why okay, then that's my bad, right?
Fair.
Which is
Go ahead.
yeah, that's it. Which is why I haven't been making any videos at all, right? For the past 2 days or 1 day, right?
I don't care if you make videos on it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, as for Omar, right? I hope that you think that I am fair-minded because, when Omar came in and talked about it, I shut down the discussion, right?
I have no
And
problem with how
then
you handled it. No,
yeah,
you're fine.
yeah, and that's about it. Yeah, that's all I want to
Okay.
say on it.
Fair enough. Anything else?
No, that's about it. Anyway, I was just surprised because this came out of nowhere. I think Omar really wanted
brought
to
to
hop
my
on.
attention that Omar was saying this kind of thing with me, and if someone is again accusing me of getting shadowy money from some unknown source, a vast conspiracy, right? The cunning of the Jew knows no bounds to fund the Wick coffers, right? It's weird. I want to talk about it. I want to see if he has any evidence for it. I think it was clear that he had none. He was kind of full of shit just across the board, but I wanted to talk about it with him directly, like I do. I'm a direct person. If I have a problem with you, I'll be direct about it. You will know I have a problem with you if I have a problem with you. I'll say that.
I think he was like, do you think it was just a random slip up, like, or do you think that he actually meant it?
He said it like 3 times in that.
Yeah,
VOD.
like it wasn't just like a one-time thing, and he I think that he actually it wasn't just him, just a slip of the tongue. He came on your show specifically and made that claim multiple times. I don't know if I need to give him more charity. He said he'd apologized if it hurt my feelings, and that's fine, right? But he probably does still feel that I'm biased in this, and I don't know if he still thinks that I'm a shill or a grifter or paid for this. I don't know. But either way, that is offensive to me, and it is something that I do care about, and it is something that I take very seriously. And when people like him and also Sunday intimate, right? Or implicate me, I should say, for being some sort of grifter who only takes stances that I'm paid to take is just not true.
Okay. Are you last question? Are you personal friends with him?
Omar?
Yeah.
No. We talk, but what do you mean personal friends? Right? No, I'm not a personal friend of Omar. Like we talk, we're friendly. But look, if we haven't broken bread together, or we haven't played games outside of stream, or we don't have conversations like long talks outside of stream, I'm friendly towards a lot of people, but I'm not your friend.
Huh?
Fair enough?
Right. Well, cool. Awesome.
Cool.
I'll see you around, Vic.
Bye-bye.
All right, goodbye. See ya.
I think that's a pretty fair stance, right? Like an audience, if you pay me enough money, I'll be your friend, okay? You give me money, I'll be your friend. It'll be great. Hand me a bunch of Kick subs, right? A bunch of YouTube super chats, a bunch of YouTube memberships. We can be great friends, okay? But no, and on real talk right now, I like you guys. I'm friendly towards you guys for a reason. I'm friendly towards a lot of my community for a very big reason because I like you. But friends are different. Like again, let's keep the parasocial to a minimum at a level. What do you think, Tenflix?
As somebody who checks off all the boxes that you gave for somebody that you're friends with, I think that's a totally fair stance. No, I don't know. Yeah, I think that most people in the space are basically just acquaintances. And like there's I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't find it especially odd to be like, no, we're not super friendly. He's also a guy who like within 15 minutes or not 15 minutes, within 15 seconds of being asked by food shops what he was doing there was like, I don't like the fucking guy. So like he's not especially friendly towards you. And so much so that he's willing to go onto panels and call you a paid shill. So yeah, I don't think that even if you were friends before, I think that this would probably be a line drawn.
Okay. Anything else you want to say before we let you go? Tenflix?
That guy's a loser who for sure paid for his YouTube channel. and he has to offer to double somebody's super chats to get invited onto shows. Just a real like pay his way into clout kind of guy with no actual personality to show for it.
Okay. And on that note, see you later, Tenflix. Gang, we got some great shows coming up tomorrow. We're going to be talking to Lycan at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then later on, we're going to be talking to Tomfoolery at about 9 p.m. Eastern. Should be great conversations. We'll probably, I don't know if the Lycan conversation will go 3 hours. Probably not. So what we'll probably do is take call-ins between the dead times, right? It's going to be an interesting discussion. Lycan's had some criticism of my takes on Israel and Palestine. He hasn't called me a shill, though. He hasn't called me a grifter. So I'm more than willing to hear him out, talk to him, and we will have a discussion on it, and it will be great. So tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. What else do we got coming up on Thursday? We're going to be talking to a bunch of women. We're going to be talking to Mooncake. We're going to be talking to what's her face? Stardust. We're going to be talking to Catnip, and we're going to be talking to Mid. And we're going to be talking about how women have failed other women in content creation. That should be an interesting discussion. And then on the 10th, on Friday, Short Fat Otaku and Brianna Wu will be in the same room. Enemies from the Gamergate days. Now, friends? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll have a chat. It'll be fun. Okay, cool. Anything else that you guys want to talk to me about? Anyone else want to call in with a quip or something? Anyone else want to donate to me real quick before we end? Any last minute super chats to make my day, to make me feel a little bit better? Okay, to make me feel a little bit more loved. Okay, I would love that. That would be great. But if not, I don't even know how to. I don't know how to follow. I don't know how to rate out on Kick. Whatever. Sorry, gang. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Follow the channel if you haven't. Like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. And with that, I bid thee adieu.